We want to take this opportunity to thank you and His Excellency the President for beginning these meetings here. We are told many times that the beginning of solving a problem is admitting that we have a problem. As we sit here today, ladies and gentlemen, we meet here across all departments and across all kinds of leadership within this region, and we admit we have a challenge. I want to invite all of us to be able to deliberate forthrightly on the matters ahead of us so that we are able to come up with a way forward and focus on solving the problem. Your Excellency, as a county, we have worked very, very closely with NACADA. As you are speaking, we already have now in Nyeri County, in Ihororo here, a rehabilitation center with 100-bed capacity. This is a program we have started with NACADA. We have furnished the entire premises. We are now almost ready to receive the first graduates. As we do this, this is something we can also recommend as we sit here to also focus whether we can work around that in the rest of the counties that may not have done that. But as I invite all of you and welcome you here, I take cognizance of the fact that the people of Nyeri have asked me to remind the Deputy President that we are just out of an election. We have gone through rigorous times to ensure that you and Dr. William Samoei Ruto are seated in the positions you are. The people of Nyeri support you 100%, but Your Excellency, they have also asked me to remind you that they would want you to be careful as you walk through the negotiations we see happening. They are not ready for all these other kind of shenanigans. They would want businesses to run. They would want our lives to continue. And as you progress, count on us as a people to be fully supportive of your stand. And we agree that you are leading us in the right direction. We want to walk with you and we are behind you. So do not be swayed. You can always come back home and get our support. Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni na Mungu awabariki.
Your Excellency, the Governor for Nyeri, you had the task to welcome the Deputy President. He can set the mood. Karibu.
Thank you very much. You know, Frederick, tukiwa na ngao na sisi tunachanganyikiwa kidogo. Thank you, Frederick. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the singular pleasure to welcome His Excellency, the Deputy President, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, to take us through the next phase. Thank you and welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. The Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, Excellencies, our 5 governors from the Central Kenya region, led by the Chairperson of the Council of Governors, Mombi Waiguru, the Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, all senators from this region and members of the National Assembly, the Inspector General of Police, and all officers under you, all officers of the National Government Administration, all our security personnel, and leaders, and everybody, good morning. God is good, and all the time. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for creating time to come for this consultative forum from your respective stations. Those who have come all the way from Kiambu, from Kirinyaga, from Nyandarua, from Murang'a, and from Nyeri here, and all our senior government officials, led by Professor Kithure Kindiki, who have taken time to come for this consultative forum. I want to say thank you. I also want to seek your indulgence and apologize that we were late. We got caught up in bad weather. We would have wanted to start a bit earlier. Please forgive us. It's not our habit to keep officers waiting. I want to explain why we are here today. This consultative forum has been convened on instructions of President William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, arising from his concern on the level of alcohol, drug, and substance abuse in the country. The President is very clear in his mind that if remedial measures are not taken urgently, we can lose the entire country and indeed the productive age bracket of our people. And if things go the way they are going, we can lose an entire generation. The President is persuaded that he has a responsibility to restore order and normalcy by mitigating what is happening in the country. Why Nyeri? The statistics given to the President by NACADA shows that Central Kenya region, indeed the former Central Province, whose headquarters is in Nyeri here, is the most affected. Indeed, I can confirm because I come from this region and I'm a regular visitor that we have a serious problem of illicit brews, second generation alcohol, bang, and other drugs. In fact, we are worried that serious drugs like heroin were things of towns like Nairobi. As we talk today, all sorts of drugs are in villages and small towns. The President therefore directed me to convene and chair this session for us to have a candid discussion, very candid discussion, on what ails this region and the country and what we need to do to bring back sanity and order. We have carefully invited all the stakeholders, starting with our leadership. We have all our governors, 5 of them here present today, all our senators, all our women reps, members of the National Assembly, speakers of county assembly, and the leaders of majority. These leaders enjoy direct mandate from the people. They are people's representatives. When our people suffer, it is their concern. When our people have a challenge, it is their concern. As people's representatives, they are here to engage with government officials for us to come up with a solution on how to save the next generation. And I really want to thank our elected leaders for being here. Again, we have officers of the National Government Administration, all the way from the regional commissioner, the county commissioners, the deputy county commissioners, and all assistant county commissioners. These are the people who on a daily basis interact and live with the people. They are the ones who understand what ails the people, what goes on. Again, they are the official and direct representatives of His Excellency the President at their respective jurisdiction. In very simplistic language, they are the eye and the ear of the President at their various jurisdictions. Again, we have the National Police Service, starting from the regional commander, the county commanders, the sub-county commanders, and all station commanders. because in the police implementation strategy, the OCS, the Officer Commanding Police Stations, are the real people on the ground. They are all here. And of course, the leader of the National Police Service, the Inspector General of Police, is here. The new Deputy Inspector General of Police, the one who was appointed, is here. And a representative of the DIG for the Administration Police Service, and a representative of the DCI. The Principal Secretary for Interior, Remo Domoro, is here. And all these people, the GAO officers plus the security officers, are under the leadership of Professor Kithule Kindiki, our Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Government Administration. That tells you how serious this forum is. It's an extremely serious forum. And this forum is the defining moment for this country because it will set the pace. The President has directed that from here, we'll move to Nakuru. From Nakuru, we'll move to Mombasa. From Mombasa, we'll go to Kakamega before we come to Embu. And the purpose of this meeting, again, is a candid discussion, so that by this afternoon we can come up with various recommendations and interventions on how to deal with this menace. I want to invite all of you today. After a few remarks from leaders, we'll open the session for plenary. I want to request you with humility to speak frankly and candidly and tell us what ails us and what needs to be done. For clarity, I want to assure uniformed officers that whatever you say here, no one can take it against you. I have instructed the Inspector General of Police, I have instructed the Principal Secretary Interior that your utterances here in this forum are open so that you can help us. And no officer can take action against you for your views. Our government is a consultative government. We want to benefit from the experience and knowledge of the OCSs on the ground. We want to hear the Assistant County Commissioner telling us where is the problem? What can we do to deal with this problem that is threatening to wipe out an entire generation? I want to ask our elected leaders to speak today from their heart, to speak on behalf of the people they represent, because one of the roles of our legislators is representation. On top of legislation and oversight, the most critical role that you play, from where I sit, is the one of representation. You must speak for your people, and you must be heard, and you must tell us as it is. Finally, I don't want this forum to be a blame game, but I want us to accept views that are given, not as criticism, but as making us better. Because when you go to a doctor, the diagnosis precedes prescription. Unless you know what ails you as a patient, unless the doctor can diagnose the problem, he cannot be able to do a prescription. So I want you to take it positively. If the role you play is put in perspective as one that is failing or contributing to the problem, I want you to take it positively, that we are trying to help each other to become better people, to become better officers. I don't want you to feel like this is a bashing forum, probably against the police, against the administration, against the elected leaders. No. We are trying to help each other. We are trying to help each other to get better. And therefore, if views are given here and you feel like they are bait on you, don't take it negatively. It is to help each other. That is why we have this forum. We have called Nakada here to tell us the extent of the problem and what we can do. We have called the Kenya Revenue Authority here. The Acting Commissioner General is here because we have a problem with ethanol. That is the ingredient that is making these cheap brews that are poisonous, and they are here. I want you to address them so that we know where the problem is. We have called the director of KEBS, the CEO of KEBS, the people responsible for checking the quality of these brews. They are here. I want you to speak candidly. Our 5 governors are here. They are the ones who license the bars. You need to address them because they are here. Where you feel they are not getting it right, please say so. And they are here with an open mind. The 5 of them are here because we want to have an open and honest conversation. From where the president sits and where I sit, whatever we can do to save the next generation, we have a responsibility. Whatever our police officers must do, they must do to save the next generation. And once we agree on what to do, it must be done. And the president is very clear. He's very clear. As of this morning, he has given me very clear instructions that I must tell you that anybody who stands in between the government and dealing with this menace must give way. Must give way. So as an OCS, you must know from now, it's not business as usual. From my training as a uniformed officer many years ago, it was the case then, it is still the case today. A police station is as good as a station commander. A police station is as rotten as a station commander. If crime rate is high in your station, you are the problem. If crime is brought down, credit goes to you. It all boils down to leadership. So, as we go forward, when I was working then, I don't know whether that is still the case. Maybe things have changed. We used to have a weekly return on bank and changa return. And that used to inform us on who is working and who is not. So we are saying, as we agree on what to do, this is a new beginning, and maybe in the afternoon we'll make the various remarks that we want to make. But I want to tell you that this matter has received attention at the highest level of government at the presidency. President William Ruto has the mandate of the people of Kenya to do the right things and to follow the rule of law. He expects all of us, from me downwards, his deputy, the CS, the IG, all of you up to station commander, up to the ACC, to help him govern and help the people. It cannot be that us who have been given that responsibility can be involved in activities that would undermine his government and his leadership. And one of the ways of undermining the president is being in cohort with the people who are selling drugs, is protecting people who are selling alcohol that is killing our people, is by going to collect commissions and tokens every week from drug peddlers. The president has told me to tell you that it will not happen at all. And after this meeting, it will not be business as usual. We must do the right thing. We must leave up to the oath of office, and we must implement the law, and we must secure the country, and we cannot be part and parcel of the criminal syndicate of selling drugs to our children, of selling illicit brews to our children. That, the president has told me to tell you, it cannot happen. So as we go forward, we'll agree on the mechanisms, on how to work, on what to do, starting from this central Kenya region, to set the pace for the rest of the country. So we have met here. This has been the headquarters of our region for many years. We have met here today so that we agree by the end of the day what we need to do. But I want to say that we must sort out this thing once and for all. What we need to do at the level of the president, we shall do. What you people need to do, you shall do. And we shall have some synergy. And finally, I want to plead with our officers, our governors, our elected leaders, all of us, we are parents. These drugs, your own children are not immune. They can get involved. So as an OCS, as you collect money to protect people who are selling drugs, please know that the same drugs can end up with your own child. As a governor, if you allow activities that enhances alcoholism and drug abuse, please know that your own child or that of your sister can get into the same situation. So let us agree, first and foremost, we are all parents. Other than what we do, other than the responsibilities we have been given, know that you are also parents. You have a responsibility as you protect other people's children to know that you as too can get caught up with this situation. And that is the truth. And we have seen it. I have gone to many forums, and we talk about this situation. I see men look down because they are suffering silently. They have a problem in their own homes. Their own children are in drugs. Their own children are alcoholics. But they keep down, they keep quiet in shame because of the stigma. So let us, as we engage today, agree that we are parents, that we have children, that we have children that are related to us. Even if you don't want to take care of other people's children, please know that you are candidates, potential candidates for getting into the situation that we are having in this region. Kwa hivyo mimi ningetaka nimalizie hapo na niseme mimi nikiwa kiongozi wa Kenya, nimetoka eneo hili, ni aibu sana kwangu. Sana. Naibika. Kila siku nikikutana na wamama, ile maneno wananiambia ninashindwa la kusema. Niambia, Bwana Deputy President, tulichagua wewe na William Ruto, watoto wetu wanamalizwa na pombe na mumenyamaza. I am also challenged as a leader for this country and from this region. When I see what is happening, I talk to parents, I talk to mothers, I talk to young wives. Vijana wetu wameisha. Kwa kitanda, instead ya kulala kwa kitanda juu, wanalala chini. Wamama ndio wanalala juu peke yao. Ukienda shule zetu zote, the classrooms are empty. Hata hii magavana hizi dimu na shida mkiweka pesa is nonsense. There are no children. Because this ethanol inakuja ikiwa mixed, inamaliza all the systems kwa hii vijana wetu. All the batteries are down. Hata ikiwekwa charge, they cannot pick. So, our women are crying. And that is the truth. You know, many people don't want to say the truth. Me, I'm a truthful man. I say the truth. The truth. It's a bad situation. And this cannot happen. Leaders, those of us who have been elected, Madam Waiguru, Governor Kahiga, Badirisha, Kangata, Wamatangi. What shall we tell our people? Where are we? What shall we tell the people who elected us? When we meet them, what shall we tell them? When our children got wiped out by alcohol and drugs, where were we? We'll have nothing to say. Dede Nyoro, Kimani Ichung'wa, Madenge, mutaambia watu nini? Mukami, mutaambia watu nini? So please, this forum here today, let us be open and candid. Speak from your heart. Let us know what ails us. What is it must we do? We have the support of the president and he is waiting. He has told me by 7 p.m. today, he wants a report. He cannot accept the situation. He cannot. Neither can I. And none of you should accept this situation. It is not right. It is not fair. It is not acceptable. We must deal with it as leaders. And we are here, we are all leaders. As an OCS, you are a leader. That's why you have been given that responsibility. As an ACC, you are a leader. County Commissioner, wewe ni kiongozi. DCIO, wewe ni kiongozi. Sisi ni viongozi. Na juu ya hayo, sisi ni wazazi. Tafadhalini, tukubaliane, tutafute suluhisho. Na tukipata, tuende tufanye kazi. It is possible. It is doable. It is something that we can do. With those very remarks, asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki.
Thank you, Excellency. Let's give His Excellency another round of applause as he takes his seat. Thank you, Excellency. With your kind permission, may we all be seated, ladies and gentlemen. At this juncture, following your remarks and directive, Your Excellency, we will have a host of representations, or rather presentations, from as well as the National Police Services. All presentations will follow in that order as discussed and agreed earlier, after which we will then hear remarks from other leaders and stakeholders present. Your Excellency, sir, this session will be moderated by the Central Region Commissioner, Frederick Shisia. On the side of studio, if we may kindly have presentations on our screens, we're going to be led by the team from NACADA through that presentation. After that, again, just to take us through that order, we'll have Mulika Pombe Initiative. We'll also have the presentation from the Ministry of Education. We'll have the presentation from Children's Services, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI. We'll also have a presentation from the National Police Service. Team from NACADA, kindly, we are ready. Karibu.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Gachagua, all governors present, RCS, Interior, all protocols observed. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amos Warwe. I'm the Central Regional Manager, NACADA, and I've been requested to make this presentation, which is a presentation jointly prepared by the NACADA and the Central Regional Commissioner's Office. In this presentation, we are going to highlight the alcohol and drug status in the Central Region. We're also going to assess the strategies employed to counter the alcohol abuse in the region. We'll look at how to develop a sustainable strategy for effective crackdown of illicit brews and counterfeit alcohol in the region. We're also going to look at how to mainstream alcohol control at the community level, because we are saying we want to involve everybody in this campaign. And we're also going to look at how to facilitate rehabilitation of persons affected by alcohol and drug abuse in the region. As we are aware that our country, we have a big challenge which has been very aptly put by His Excellency the Deputy President of the challenge of the alcohol and drugs problem all over the country and in our particular region. And out of this, we have seen a lot of negative effects, which include, of course, alcoholism, which has resulted to breakage of families, increase in crime, mental illnesses, suicide, low productivity at workplaces, and very poor academic performance, and low enrollment in our schools, and issues of indiscipline in our institutions of learning. Central Kenya, like we are aware and admit, and that's why we're here, has been gravely affected with our young people wasting in the cheap liquor and also suffering from the related effects. And to this juncture, Your Excellency, we want to commend you for organizing this forum and leading us in discussing and looking at ways and strategies to address this problem. And we also thank the leadership of the Central Region, who are all present here, for having come forward to support this initiative, and we believe we'll get somewhere by the end of the day like you have guided us. Maybe here we can have a very quick look at the statistics. And these statistics, we have drawn them from a national survey which was mounted by NACADA in November, December last year. So these are very latest statistics. Actually, this survey has not been officially launched, but as you allowed us to share this because they're very real and very informative. At the national level, we see the number of persons who use at least one substance of abuse. Here we are talking of everything: alcohol, tobacco, cat, bang, and everyone. We are studying at 17.5% of the Kenyan population. I'm sure when you translate those numbers to a population, you can see these are very big and worrying numbers. But I want to maybe concentrate on Central, which is the third on the column on the far left, where we are saying at least 18.4% of our population in our region, they are using at least one substance of abuse. In that order, alcohol is leading at 12.8%. This is the population of the 5 counties of our Central region. We are followed with tobacco, which is at 11.9. Then we have cat, and here cat, we are talking of both Mira and Mogoka at 1.8. And cannabis is also catching up at 1.3. Maybe a point of note is that if we look at the national statistics, we can see on alcohol, Central, we are even above the national statistic, which is 9.7. So we are far and above what is the national statistics. The same case is happening with the tobacco, where we are at 11.9, whereas national is at 8.5. And the others, they are slightly slower. Next slide. From the survey, portable spirits, or what you call second generation alcohol, is our biggest problem in the region. We are leading in the country at 4.1%, followed by Coast, Rift Valley, and the other. Whereas the national percentage is 2.5. So Central, we almost double of the national percentage. And maybe to mention that male are the ones leading when we segregate data between male and female. On alcohol use by age category in the region, we have our youth who are based, actually they are not the youth because the constitution defines the youth somebody from 18 years to 35. We have as young as 15 to 24 years, we have about 6% of our children who are already using these substances, and these mainly alcohol. So here we are talking of primary school going children and also secondary school. Then 25 to 35 years, these are our youth who have maybe finished secondary school. They are at 14.1%, meaning there's a bulk of the population. And our overall regional statistics on this starts at 12.8%. The summary of the current use of drugs and substance in the region starts at this, whereby the population affected by alcohol is almost slightly below 500,000 of our population. Tobacco is also down there at 409, followed by cat, 61, cannabis 45, prescription drug 8.8, which is also another concern. It's an emerging trend which is very worrying. Then multiple substances. This is somebody who is using more than one substance of abuse. They are at 269,788. Then somebody who is using at least one substance, they're at 635,000. Maybe to comment on those findings is to say that the prevalence of the substance abuse, alcohol and tobacco in Central Region is higher than the national statistics. We're also saying that the region is largely affected by use and the increase of portable spirits that are extremely potent. Portable spirit is our biggest challenge, what you call the second generation alcohol. There's a worrying burden of alcohol and tobacco addiction in the region that transcends across all ages, going by the statistics. And the age mostly affected, we saw, is from 25 to that 5 years. The findings show evidence of early initiation to drugs and substance use in the region. We have cases where we find that children who are young as 8 years, they are using these substances. Data from the region shows that the age between 25 and 35 years is the most affected, and as well as the biggest burden of addiction. The region is emerging as a key market for the hard drugs, just like you mentioned, Your Excellency, including heroin, especially in counties like Kiambu, Nyeri, and Murang'a. We are now finding heroin in these counties, and not only in big towns, even in the rural areas. Actually, out of these, we have a methadone assisted center in Kiambu, in Karuri Sub-County Hospital, to assist those people already addicted to this and win out the problem of heroin. This table also represents the distribution of the alcoholic outlets within our counties. In Murang'a, this data we got it through the GAO. We have about 451 bars and restaurants. Bars and restaurants is another big challenge we have in our region, Your Excellency, because bar and restaurant license is one of the most abused licenses. People open early in the morning until late in the night. And when you look at the definition of bar and restaurant by the law, sometimes they don't qualify. We always say, and the RC will attest to this, that you see everybody is applying for this license. And bar and restaurant means you should have a bar and a kitchen, you know, it's like a hotel environment. But utapata kichwa ya mbuzi pale nje, inachemuka na soup, na mtu ndani ni bar. So that it is licensed as the bar as restaurants, which we don't think it should qualify. The ordinary bars, there are 2093, wines and spirit 189, giving a total of 2,733 outlets in Murang'a County. In Nyeri, we have 578 bar and restaurants, 1425 bars, 65 wine and spirits, and 20, adding up to 2068. Here, when you talk of wine and spirits, we are combining both the off-license and even the distributors wine license shops. Nyandarua, we have 147 bar and restaurants. Bars, there are 934, 108 wine and spirits, and 1,089 is the total of alcoholic outlets in the county. Kiambu, it has 1,044 bars and restaurants, 2,088, 17 bars, 1,187 wines and spirits, making a total of 5,048 outlets within the county. Kirinyaga, we have 76 bars and restaurants, 1,648 bars, 191 wine and spirits, giving us a total of 1,915. In total, in summary, the outlets, alcoholic outlets in Central Region, they are almost 13,000 because there are 12,953. It's only less 7 to make it 30,000. I think these statistics should be worrying and should inform some of the decisions we are going to make. We also try to highlight the hotspots where we also have the illicit brews in the respective counties. And maybe I don't have to go through all these, Your Excellency, if you allow, but these are the areas where the Ngao are always cracking down on illicit brews. And I'm sure the leaders from here are familiar with these areas in their region because this is what happens in every corner. We have other places like Murang'a. The Chania River is the side of up there near the neighbor Kiabu, and this is a big problem, the Makwa. So these guys brew on this side of the river and the other side of Makwa. Then Nyeri, we normally have it along Chania. Nyandarua, Nyandarua is a unique case, Your Excellency, because we don't have a lot of brews being produced there. The brews produced mainly in Nyandarua, they are consumed, they come from outside the county. So Nyandarua imports from outside, and they mainly import from Roriani and Laikipia West and parts of Nakuru County due to the proximity. Like I had mentioned, Kiambu, we have a big problem along Chania River, the Makwa area up there. And this has been a big problem all through, but I believe we'll find a way out of it. And we also have other areas like Gatondo South, areas of Upper Juja, Gashororo, all those areas. And in Kirinyaga, we have the obvious culprits, and these are mainly villages within the Mwea part of it, in our rice plantations. And yeah, but a lot is being done on this. So basically that's the statistics. So what are the challenges? What have we identified? The challenges which we have identified in Central Region in relation to alcohol and drug abuse, the problem, we know what it is. What is causing this? We mainly attribute this to a number of factors. One, it is the availability of cheap liquor due to increase of alcoholic outlets and the cost of the alcohol. The alcohol being sold in our region, Your Excellency, when KRA will be making the representation, when you factor the cost of producing a 250 ml bottle of alcohol, we know having paid all taxes and met the production cost, it should not be more than less than 250 per piece. But in Central Region, in some places, you even find alcohol being sold for 150, the same bottle. That means there's a shortcut which has been bypassed to ensure that that is happening. Then we also have challenges with the enforcement. And sometimes here is an issue of uncoordinated enforcement between the national government and the county governments. Then uncoordinated licensing regime of the alcoholic outlets. Here the challenges, because you said, you asked us to speak the truth as it is. You realize that the national government officers sometimes in places, they are not involved in the licensing committees at the sub-county by the county governments. So the county governments might license some premises which, in relation to security, where the OCS is supposed to give guidance, or issues of the public interest where the DCC maybe can give a word, they are not involved, and that's why we find maybe even the proliferation of the outlets. Then another challenge you have found is that we have a permissive society where in Central Region nowadays, it's becoming a trend that it's accepted that alcohol must be taken everywhere. You find people going to attend a burial in the morning, and even before they go to collect the body, they have passed through a place to take alcohol before they even. So that permissiveness is also another factor. Then early initiation to alcohol and drugs, because we are even doing these things in our homes. So even our children, they are also learning and they try to test quite early. There's also an aspect of poor parenting, where many parents are not responsible. They are not taking their parenting responsibility as expected. Then we also have availability of highly potent substances of abuse, just like we demonstrated earlier. Then inadequate prevention, care, and support programs in the community, where the community is also supposed to have its own mechanism to protect and ensure that they have alcohol and drugs-free communities within themselves. Then we also have a challenge of lack of affordable treatment and rehabilitation service facilities. And allow me to mention here, sir, that in Central Region, it's only Nyeri County, and we want to once again thank you, the Governor Nyeri County, who have a public rehabilitation facility in partnership with NACADA. So as we said, we also encourage the other counties to ensure that we have at least one rehab in every county so that we can rehabilitate our young people who need those services. In a summary form, the challenge, we can summarize it in, we look at the cause and the manifestation. The issue of licensing and enforcement, it is evidenced by the mushrooming of alcoholic outlets in undesignated areas, including residential areas, including inside the villages where they should not be licensed. We also have bars operating without licenses. And like we said, Your Excellency, if a bar can operate without a license, it means there's somebody who is maybe protecting it to operate. Then you also have the issue of abuse of licenses, the terms and conditions of licenses, like the example I was giving of a bar and restaurant. You find a place is not ideal, or they are not operating according to the terms and conditions of license. Then we have sale of substandard alcohol in unhealthy conditions, outlets operating beyond the stipulated hours, and also another big challenge we have here is wine and spirits dispensing on site, because wine and spirits are strictly supposed to be takeaway. But you'll find there's a jug there and some water and some glasses. That 250 ml, two people can buy, they share, they take it there, they fresh, they call it fresh, and they go. That's also another big problem you're facing in the region. There's also another problem of corruption, where people pay protection fees. That's why you find bars which don't have licenses they're operating. You have issues of bribes to avoid closure and arrest. And another challenge, which is very also a big concern, is leakage of information during crackdowns. We organize a very good crackdown, but by the time you hit the ground, you find people have closed and have gone away because somebody among us is also sharing that information. Prosecution charges. Here we have cases taking too long to conclude. As are the judiciary. Then exhibit samples analysis results taking too long to analyze at government chemists because they always sent back to Nairobi. Then you have lenient charges and sentences and fines. And so these guys end up coming back. Anapelekwa kotini na analipa fine kidogo, and then they are back to the business. We also have a big challenge of the uncontrolled trade in ethanol and powdered beer. Here we have diversion of ethanol to manufacture substandard and counterfeit alcohol. Because most of the people who are doing this substandard and very low and lowly priced alcohol, they are mainly counterfeits. Then we have the challenge of portable spirits maybe controlling the market, illegal manufacturers, and availability of powdered beer to concoct illicit brews. But this challenge, I believe, has been addressed, and KEBS maybe will shed more light. Abuse of prescription drugs. Like we had said in the survey, we have another challenge now. Prescription drugs is also another big challenge. And how it's coming about, maybe if I may enumerate a bit, is like you find somebody has been chewing miraa a lot. And we know miraa is a stimulant. So you want some time to calm down, so you go look for a prescription drug, which is a depressant. So this is also another big problem which is creeping around in our region. Shisha, as we all know, shisha was banned by the Ministry of Health. But we also have it in popular apartments and also in homes and some kind of exclusive clubs. You find it there. This is another challenge we have in our region. Next slide. So out of all that, we also sat and asked ourselves, what can be done? What is the solution to these problems? And one, we are saying on issues of licensing, we are recommending formation of alcohol county-based intergovernmental committees on alcohol and drug abuse control. A committee bringing on board the county government, the national government, and all the players. And this committee should ensure that they monitor the issues of alcohol and will be making very, very frequent reports on the progress and the challenges. Then there's also another recommendation that we amend the regulation of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, ADCA, what is popularly known as MOTU, the law, to include and provide for a formula to determine the maximum number of alcoholic outlets to be licensed in a given area based on population density. This one was envisaged in the Act. Actually, I think Section 12A of Alcoholic Drinks Control Act has that bearing. But there's no formula such that we say like a place like Nyeri Town, with a given population, how many outlets can we allow? What's the maximum number? So I think that's something which we can ask our members of parliament to help us in that. Then counties, we're also recommending that counties to invest in research, prevention, and treatment and rehabilitation program from the liquor licensing fees. Remember, liquor licensing now is a devolved function. And Your Excellency, the challenge you have been facing in most counties and not only Central Region, liquor licensing fees are being paid into the ordinary county levy fees. Whereas the Alcoholic Drinks Control had established a fund, where this money is supposed to go into a fund, which is supposed to support all alcohol control and rehabilitation programs. So that's another request we are putting across and a strong recommendation to the county governments. Then we also recommending that we have a coordinated and multidisciplinary license regime of the alcoholic outlets at the county, starting at the sub-county, where the national government, GA officers, and the police are also members of that committee. We are also encouraging and recommending that regular surveillance and enforcement continue. This has been happening all along, and we would like to bring on board both the national government and the county government, so that it does not look like it's a one side of government working. We bring everyone together. There's also another aspect of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act. We are proposing that the county governments, because they have their liquor laws, they amend and they align their laws to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act. And through that, they will now be able to establish the fund we are talking about. And Your Excellency, we believe if we have these funds with the counties will not be having challenges with resources to address issues of alcohol, because the funds will be ring-fenced and they only be used to address issues of alcohol control. We're also encouraging enhancement of community participation in the control of alcohol and drugs, including licensing. Here what we are talking about is even public participation in the licensing regime. Let the locals say in our given village we only want 1 or 2 bars, because they are the same people who we expect to come to these bars. We involve the community, and that way we believe it's going to ensure that they'll also have a say in what's happening within their communities. Then the issue of implementation of the 300 meters rules towards protecting children and persons below 18 years to alcohol. This is a provision of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, but sometimes you go, you find a bar which is almost next to a primary school, and you wonder how it was licensed, whereas the national law prohibits that. Then the issue of standardizing and enforcing hours of operation for alcoholic outlets. We are saying let these laws, the respective county laws, hours of operation, be in tandem with the national law, because the national law, of course, takes precedent to the county laws. Establishment of a government chemist branch in Nyeri to facilitate fast analysis of samples for efficient prosecution. We have been having a lot of delays, and I can believe our security officers can attest to this. When maybe they get samples, and for you to have a good case, there must be the analysis results. Government chemist in Nairobi is overwhelmed, and it takes too long to conclude such cases. So it was recommended if we could have one here in Nyeri to serve the entire region, it will help in fast-tracking the prosecution of such cases. Another key agency which, Your Excellency, we miss in our region, who is a very key partner, is the Anti-Counterfeit Agency. We don't have them here in Nyeri or in the central region. So it's recommended that we also have them represented in the region so that they can help us in fighting with the counterfeit products. Then in cognizance of the challenge, because we are saying everywhere we have a problem, we are proposing that as a start-off, that the national government could maybe sponsor at least 20 persons who need rehabilitation from every county as a start-off, so that we can have a way to start off this program. Then to ensure sustainability and accessibility is what I had mentioned earlier. We are recommending that each county should start making provisions, at least to open a rehab center maybe by end of the year in every county, so that we can have our people accessing these services which they badly deserve. Maybe to mention on this is that in central region, most of our rehabs are private. We have about 58 of them, and most of them are actually in Kiambu County. Kiambu, we have about 42 of them, and they are private. And the minimum charge they are charging is 50,000 per month, and one is 90 days program. So you can imagine a family who have been suffering with somebody who has given them trouble, paying 150,000. It's almost impossible. So that's why we're encouraging county governments to help us in this. Then we're also recommending that through the NGAOs and the counties, the enforcement teams, we create a database of persons who have been prosecuted or involved in issues of alcohol and drug abuse, so that as they are taken to court, we can tell the court these are a serious offender, and maybe the sentences may be deeper, because the courts usually say when you just bring him and you charge with this, we don't tell us he has been doing it, they give them very lenient sentences. And then the aspect of participation of all stakeholders in this war, religious leaders, our parents, CBOs, teachers, and everybody else in the campaign. And we believe once you do that, we'll have contributed to this problem. And I think I want to stop there. NACADA has a helpline, a toll-free number which someone can call for counseling, and it's 1192. And I thank you for your time and your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Warui. Let us give him another round of applause. Thank you very much for giving us that enlightening exposure. I think it will form a very critical basis of our conversation when we come to the plenary. I now take this opportunity to invite a presenter who is going to share with us the Mulika concept. Karibu. As she comes, let us give her a round of applause. Because in this fight, we need partnership and coordination.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, and all other protocols observed. Good morning. Good. Now, my name is Grace Wanjohi, and I am the Executive Director of Mulika Institute for Social Accountability. Our flagship system is the one that is being called Mulika. If we could have the video, please.
Ukiona, sema. Ukisikia, sema. Ukishuku, sema. Ripoti tatizo lolote la usalama kupitia SMS 988. Namba yako haitaonekana. Ujumbe huu hautakugharimu chochote. Weka akaunti yako na mtaa ambapo uhalifu unatendeka. Mulika uhalifu. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Mambo ya Ndani na Uratibu wa Serikali ya Kitaifa.
Now, I think most of you have seen that, and you may have heard it in the radio. But the biggest question here is, ukiona, ukisikia, ukishuku, useme. Useme wapi? Useme aje? That is the biggest question, isn't it? So Mulika, this system, is in its 7th year of implementation with the Ministry of Interior. We were piloting. We have taken quite a bit of time because we lost elections for 2017, and then there was Corona, and then there was another election. So the process took longer than usual, but this project has gone through ideation, research and development, proof of concept, and now we want to scale. So we are testing and positioning for scale, and hopefully it will be with the Mulika Pombe project. So without further ado, I want to be able to demonstrate this, so I'll go very quickly. So this is how the system is working. The members of the public have been given digital platforms in which they can communicate to their service providers and their security managers. So the main objective of this platform is to facilitate citizen participation in national security and service delivery. So that is why it is Mulika Uhalifu. But again, we began with Pombe, I'll come to that. So the public, for the purposes of this presentation, I will dwell on the SMS 988, which is the preferred modem for security people to receive, and it is also the preferred modem for the public. So from the comfort of their homes, free of charge, the public are sending information, and when they send this information using the 988 or any other medium, it hits the terminals of the security managers connected to it already. I know the regional commissioner is on, and his team, the county commissioners, and we have connected some of the sub-county commissioners. So what this does is that the minute, within 4 seconds, this information is relayed to their terminals, and they receive a text branded Mulika. So they do not know who has sent that message. Because a lot of the times we say that hatutaki maswali ya polisi, sindio? So here there is no maswali ya polisi because you are anonymous. And as soon as they get that, they have a team ready to act. So I'd like all of you please to take your phones out, because it says security begins with you and I, isn't it? And now, here we are, the eyes and the ears of the government, because without public knowledge, they would not arrest crime. And we say the public knows everything. And the public also knows who is the culprit, who is the officer aiding this menace, what happens, what time, the public know everything. So let's take our phones very quickly. And I want you to send information. It is county-based. No county receives for the other. So I want, if you have information right now on any den of changa that you know, or any den of illicit brew, or any brewer or criminal, please let's just try that so that I can be able to demonstrate further. So the SMS number 988 is free of charge. And the text will go this way. You will go like you are typing a text and you're sending to 988, and you will be able to say, if it is Kirinyaga, you say Kirinyaga, this and this is happening. I will have, because the RC is here, I will have him read just 1 or 2 messages that he's been receiving over time. So we are not having transmission this morning because tumenyonga, because we don't want the powers that be to receive irrelevant information. So once it goes through, just one person just lift up their hands so that I can say that I can at least know that we are together, then I can go to the next one. So you're sending to number 988 and it is anonymous. So right now the text is being received. They're coming already. Can you see RC? Okay, so I'm going to have him read when he comes later. But if you have one of those SMSs, there is a reference number. This reference number is going to take you to the tracker. If we could have the tracker, the slide with the tracker, the tracking system. No, there's the one that was online. Yes, there we are. So you are anonymous, you have texting information, and then this is the loop back, the tracker. Because the tracker is going to enable you, the reporter, to get feedback anonymously. And why we are getting feedback anonymously is because we want to know what happened, but we don't want to be recognized. We don't want to be victimized. So there where you're seeing reference is where you put your reference number, and then you will see what is the response from the officers. And if you want, you can register with just your email, and you will be able to chat with this officer anonymously. And any officer will have a tag. It can even be the OCS, it can be the CS, it can be the PS, and you will see them and interact with them. And the reason is that a lot of the times when we are talking about crime, we are having very low reporting of crime from the public. It is understandable, the public apathy, because we say, ata ukireport, where does it go? But now here with data and leveraging on technology, we are able to get data and distribute it to a multi-agency of teams. So no agency is going to have a monopoly of information from the public. That enhances accountability and transparency. Because I know we say sometimes, maneno yetu inafichika. So here there is no kufichika, the cat is out of the bag. Here we have all the agencies that are supposed to be receiving, and we are also going to be sharing data with other stakeholders, with the governors, with NACADA, so that we are all together and we all do our part. So Mulika essentially is a monitoring and reporting system. So with the tracker, we are going further. We are going further and putting performance as a key performance indicator for the officer. Because if for example, we have the service charter of the police. If we put it in there and classify it, so the managers here will be able to see that this issue was reported at this time and it was not handled the way it is supposed to be handled, what is happening. So that also will create interventions in the way that interventions that are relevant, and it is for all of that. So why this is a very interesting forum, because county-based, being led by the county commissioner, it was deliberate because we wanted them to actually take it up, manage it, and be able to incorporate this platform into their protocols. So yes, we began with Nakuru, but as you know, a digital platform, you can you can text from anywhere. So we have linked 47 county commissioners, the regional commissioners, and it is just because of funding. We'll discuss that when we come to scaling in-house, but we can connect up to, we would want to even connect up to maybe 120,000 officers. So because when you're talking about, when you're talking about security concern, it is also service delivery. So that is how we have come. Now, yeah, so the uniqueness is that the unprecedented acceptance. We have received over 500,000 issues. And when we say again, ukiona sema, ukisikia sema, ukishuku sema, I think we should expect about 1 million issues a day, seeing as there are more than 35 government functions, and also even the ones that are relating to Pompe and service delivery. So the public also are with us because, again, now there is the problem is not usually the information that we get from the public. The challenge here has been the responders, because Kenyans are innovative. There are very many systems out there. Kenyans do speak. It is where that information is going that is tricky. So when we have the responders taking charge of the information and saying we want to receive, and oh boy, don't they receive. They receive so much, even wrote in their own departments. They receive a lot of reports with officer misbehavior, and they have been able to sort it out. Because we all know that, again, as the public, we allege misbehavior. So these are the people that have taken charge. I want to also recognize, as I recognize the county commissioners, I want to recognize Bwana Nganatha, that is the county commissioner, I think he's now in Kiambu. He's the one who brought this and risked it 7 years ago and says, let's try it. So I want to appreciate that officer. And so with the other officers that joined in, it was not by force. They have joined in, and then later it was when later that Harambee House came in. So that is what I have. I'm going very quickly. We were given about 10 minutes to go. So where are we at with this platform? So we are willing, we want to expand it. We have done everything. So now it's only expansion. And that expansion will mean that we want to connect, we want to be able to handle 35 million Kenyans. That means that at your disposal, the government has over 35 million pairs of eyes as CCTV cameras that you are not installing, you are not paying for. They are on 24 hours and they are everywhere, because the public is your biggest ally when it comes to this, to the fight of this menace. And we also want to target 120 officers. I know these numbers are sounding a lot, but technology, again, everybody can be able to SMS at the same time, and the system will receive. And then also we want to target about 200,000 reports. So that's what we have for you. I thank you for listening. Now, sorry? Okay. So yeah, so the biggest challenge, just one of the biggest challenge we have is that the public do not yet know of this platform. So we would want to expand it and see that the officers are sensitized adequately and also the public. I thank you very much. And oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to mention that I am very proud because I am from Nyeri, and this product is actually also going to now be from Nyeri. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us give her another round of applause. In fact, as I was sitting there, I've received 92 messages on various issues pertaining to Central Region. And normally what we do, I receive and channel them to the respective county commissioners for action. And this has been very effective. Our next presentation is going to be from the Minister of Education, and I want to request that you take 5 minutes. Karibu, Madam Sabina. She is the Regional Director, Basic Education.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, the governors in the House, the honorable members of the National Assembly, the honorable members of the Senate and the county assemblies, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. As you've heard, I'm Sabina Aroni, the Regional Director of Education. Together with the Regional Teacher Service Commission Director of the region, we put together something that we want to share with you. The Regional Director of the Teacher Service Commission is there. So the information I'm presenting, we shared and said we want to share it with you in this forum. First of all, allow me to appreciate the Deputy President for giving us an opportunity even to share information that is very key and that will go a long way to improve the service delivery in the education sector. So we are saying that this is what you know, that this is a ministry in the government, but we have a vision that is the quality and inclusive education, training, and research for sustainable development. We have a mission to provide, promote, coordinate competence-based, equitable, learner-centered education, training, and research for sustainable development. So I want to say that education, as all of us know, is key in the development of any society. But we are saying there would be issues like the drug use and abuse that may hinder the full realization of desired outcomes for all learners, because we said the government wants to provide education for all learners, may they be from poor backgrounds or rich backgrounds or whichever background they come from. So in specific, we are talking about the drug and substance abuse, and maybe want to ask ourselves, do we have this problem in our institutions? Want to say yes, especially when our learners transit to the secondary. Some of them go to schools with the drugs. Some of them are used by the parents and other stakeholders to sell drugs. Some of them are also kind of affected. Sometimes we have learners in examination rooms, but because they have abused drugs, they are not able to write their examinations. Earlier, stated that education in Kenya is hierarchical. That is, whatever happens in the nursery school or the ECD will affect the outcomes up to university level. For that reason, we as education sector believe that education even starts before a child is born, from the what we call growth and development. growth and development starts in the womb. The quality of the child who's conceived by an alcoholic is different from the quality of a child who's conceived by a non-alcoholic, for example. Therefore, as you see, let me not dwell on it. Let's go to the next slide where we want to dwell on. I want to comment three things: that we are affected by drug and substance abuse in three ways. That the three major stakeholders in education, that is the parents, the teacher, and the learner, are affected. The parent is the financier, is the role model, and at the same time is the person who will enable a child join early. Because if it's a youth can go to school without a parent through the support of others. But they may not be able to go early enough because their parent is an alcoholic. I'm sorry to mention this, but when we were going around to identify beneficiaries of Elimu scholarships, we went to some dens where a mother is drunk, totally drunk, a child is breastfeeding, a breast that has no milk. The mother is not aware. We have got into a room. We leave the room without, and we leave the child wanting to follow us, and the child we have gone to identify, not even having eaten even for 2-3 days in the house. So we are affected. The teachers are affected, and the learners are also affected. The perpetrators of gender-based violence, be they parents or teachers, in most cases it corresponds that they abuse drugs and substances, because a father in his normal senses cannot rape a daughter. But sometimes they do because they are under drug and substance abuse. So this is our enrollment. It entails both the public and the private schools. From 2019 to 2023. If we look at the data, we realize that there was a steady and impressive increase in Kiambu. We were maybe stipulating that Kiambu is cosmopolitan, meaning that maybe even people from other parts of Kenya are staying in Kiambu, or some people from Nyeri and other parts have moved to Kiambu. But other counties, especially the Nyeri, Nyandarua, and the Murang'a, recorded some drops at certain points. We also reasoned that in the 2021, we had COVID-19. Maybe some parents withdrew their learners because they are young to stay home, and then they took them back to school for reasons we may not tell. We are only able to account for this information, but we are not able to say in the village what happened in the village to hinder learners from coming to school to enroll. Allow me to use the next slide to explain. That Kiambu County registered steady increase, while the 4 counties registered noticeable decline at various points. Note the decline of Nyeri, for example, between 2022 and 2023, which is 5,649. Note the decline of Kirinyaga of 883 between 2019 and 2020. We also note the decline of Nyandarua from 2022 to 2023, which is 3,501. And then we also note for Murang'a, which is 1,718. However, when we look at the primary school enrollment, the decline is marked in Murang'a and Nyeri for the primary school enrollment. It's marked for Muranga and Nyeri. When we look at this, we were trying to see that are there learners who were in ECD and they didn't transit. We discovered no. It's like the effort and the support that was available to have the learners enroll at ECDE still supported them. To do what? To continue with their primary school education. If we move to the recommendations, the Ministry of Education recognized that we have a problem with the drugs in schools. And we are told when we interviewed the secondary school learners, some of them tell us they started in standard 5. So as early as standard 5, they are abusing. So there is a policy that NACADA assisted the Ministry of Education to develop. It's our request, it's our recommendation that this, the implementation of the recommendations of that guideline be implemented with the county governments, ministries, departments, and agencies in collaboration. That the general public be sensitized on the adverse effects of drug and substance use and abuse on education. We also recommend mentorship programs for learners from homesteads affected by drugs and substance abuse, because the education sector does not want to lose any, even if they are drunkards. We are having a problem these days because we tell principals, we tell head teachers, you can't expel, because you expel them, they go to society. There is nowhere they are going to go, because if they go to society without education, they'll be worse. So there is a policy to handle them, but we request that if programs are in place to mentor them, so that we bring them back to the mainstream of education to complete their education. Then we request that there be established at least one rehabilitation facility in each county to cater for parents, teachers, and learners who are affected. We also recommend that further research be carried out, because we cannot explain these figures at school level. Further research be carried out to establish the cause of the decline. So I want to thank you very much. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Regional Director Education in Nyeri County. Your Excellency, sir, we have 3 more presentations. With your kind permission, sir, and indulgence, I wish to seek that the presenters do it rather summatively so that we're able to save up on time as we also usher in our next session on the plenary, where we will be sharing our views and also having an opportunity to also air our questions. Kindly, if we may have the next presenter on children's services. Remember, may we kindly proceed to have our presentations summatively. Karibu.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, our CS Interior, Your Excellencies, the governors, all protocols observed. My name is Kongo Mwaniki from the Directorate of Children's Services, and I will give a very, very brief presentation painting the image of the kind of children we see and the kind of ravages that drug and alcohol abuse has had on families, particularly in our region. Of course, those are our rights, and I want to do it summatively. Let's proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, parental responsibilities, of course, and what they are supposed to do. Next slide. Let's move up to where we have specific child protection issues. let's move on. Yes. So because of alcohol and drug abuse, what we've been witnessing is abandonments, particularly of toddlers and infants, and of course even older children in medical facilities and markets. Again, we have cases of abortion for parents who do not get support from their partners, and some who are also abusing the drugs. We have compromised health issues for children who do not complete immunization. Sexual and gender-based violence is a reality in our region. Cases of school dropout, Your Excellency, and an increase in the number of street children, particularly in our urban centers, and then cases of child labor, and extreme poverty in our households, HIV, AIDS, and STDs, including supergonorrhea, which has been found here in Nyeri the other day, and then children getting engaged in crimes. We have cases of children joining criminal gangs, that is tied to the first one, and even child marriages, cases of child marriages, Your Excellency. Then neglect of parental roles and responsibilities, early and premature deaths of parents and children. These are realities in our society. Increase in single parenthood. You realize that the former Central Province is leading in cases of single parenthood. Then children abusing alcohol and drugs due to exposure and availability. And exposure of children to defilement due to being left on their own, particularly in informal settlements, our slums. Early onset of sex among children, incestuous relationships, bestiality, and going against the laws of nature, the triple threat of teenage pregnancy, HIV, AIDS, and sexual-based violence, and misunderstood sexual orientation, whereby, for example, if a child is used to being defiled through anal, through oral, the child does not know which way to follow. So what are our recommendations? Let us make alcohol and drugs inaccessible to our society so that they are not easily available. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me call upon the DCI, Mr. Oburu, Central Region.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, our CS Interior, our Inspector General, Excellency Governors, Members of Parliament, all protocol observes. My name is Bethuel Waweru Oburu. I am the Regional DCI, Central Region. I'm just going to take you through a very quick slide on the effects of drugs and alcohol abuse in relation to crime. Because this is a societal problem, we have noticed that there's a relationship between abuse of alcohol, drugs, and certain crimes. So, as you can see there, we have homicides, and homicides include murder and suicides. These are very prevalent. And if we had been allowed in that homicide category, I was wondering where to place sudden deaths, because we also get reports where people die after consumption of alcohol. Some people lose eyesight. So it would be important if we would have heard the people from the Ministry of Health to give us that correlation between those deaths which occur. As you can see, in 2021, we had fewer cases than in 2022. So it's showing an increase. That is suicide, murders, which are very prevalent because of abuse of alcohol and drugs. Then you go to the second category of crimes, which is sexual gender-based violence. As my previous presenter has just alluded to, we have there rape, we have defilement of children, which is very prevalent. We have unnatural offenses, he has also mentioned that. But it is significant to note in 2021, we had 273. At 2022, you can see the increase. It shows that there's something which is going on. And already at this time of 2023, up to March, we are at 156. Where will we be at the end of this year? If we don't control the consumption of alcohol and drugs, Your Excellency, we might have a different problem in this year. In trafficking, we're talking about trafficking in hard substances, that is heroin, cannabis sativa, and other prohibited drugs. You can see in 2021, we had 981, but a significant increase in 2022. And right now, we're at 475, up to March. We have not concluded the year. Related to abuse of drugs and alcohol, we've had cases of arson where people go burning houses for no reason. They burn their parents' houses. These are the young boys and burning their houses of parents after a disagreement because of consumption of alcohol and drugs. Your Excellency, we need to address that issue. And I'm glad you've got our political leaders so they can see the effect. Illicit brews, those were cases reported. There was significant reduction, but it is increasing. Now we are at 168 as at March. We've got accidents when people drive vehicles under the influence. We can assume, but people drink and drive. And we're told when you drink milk or water when you're driving. 2022 is significant to me because it is a year when everything was getting higher. At 158, most of these were fatal accidents, Your Excellency. So we need to address that issue. Another crime which is associated with alcohol abuse, Your Excellency, is assault. When people drink, they tend to fight. They maim themselves. Some will cut their fellow people, colleagues with knives. Some will fight a fray because of disagreements in places of drinking. But the most significant thing to note here is, Your Excellency, that these people will graduate into bigger criminals in future. And there's one which I didn't put there, but I think I should mention, is the issue of mugging. Because muggings now is also related because when the young boys and girls don't have money, they start walking in the streets and mug people so that they get money to go and buy drugs and alcohol. Next slide, please. So what have we done? We've taken people to court, and you can see those are the cases. We have netted about a ton of bang. We have netted about 14,000 liters of illicit brews. We have taken so many people to court. And we are working closely with KRA and counterfeit agencies, and NACADA was here before, and also KEBS. The next slide. These are some of the banging which these are cannabis sativa, which we netted in various parts of the region. These are the second generation alcohol which have been seized. You see, they pack them in crates. You can think they're normal beer produced by either Kiroche or VIBL. But actually, these are, you can see the equipment they're using to distill and package. They've got the counterfeit stickers from KRA and most of those. So what are we intending to do? Some of these things we are doing are intelligence-led raids. But the most important thing I wanted to talk about here is sensitization. Your Excellency, it is important that religious leaders are here. We need to organize sensitization among religious groups, that is churches and mosques. As I was thinking about this presentation, I thought about when we were growing up. I'm a Protestant. I profess that I'm a Christian. And when we were growing up, we used to have the Sunday school, where we were taught the doctrines of Christianity. Then we go to baptismal classes, where we're taught by the priests. Then we go for confirmation classes. And during those classes, what we were taught was how to be obedient and how not to get into certain vices. And our religious leaders would know each and every people in the class, in the baptismal class, in the confirmation classes. If you fail to attend, you'd ask your parents why you have not attended. Your Excellency, the church leaders are here. Kindly follow up on that. That's the foundation of developing an honest and citizen. The community, we need to work together with the community. We need partner, local leaders, opinion leaders. This problem, as you have enumerated the crimes which are there, we need to all partner together so that we come up with a mechanism to deal with this menace. We have planned visit to learning institution, Your Excellency, because we have noticed that when these students get back to school after closing or opening date, the influx of drugs. The children's officer here, education officer, has already mentioned that. We are planning that in future we assist them with K9, that is the dogs, the sniffer dogs, Your Excellency, on request, so that we go and sniff the baggages, so that we ensure that no drugs get into the learning institutions. We have very good collaboration with the tertiary education institutions around, the universities, where we are in constant communication and we share a lot of information with them, Your Excellency. We have an interregional collaboration in that the neighboring regions like Eastern, Rift Valley, and Nairobi, we share intelligence so that we ensure that most of these drugs coming in from outside the region of Central, we can be able to intercept and bring the culprits to book. We have meetings with the criminal justice system, the judiciary, the ODPP, so that the challenges which have been mentioned by Nakada, we are trying to address them through our court users committees, so that when criminals are taken to court, they get the punitive sentence which is prescribed by law, Your Excellency. So on that point, we are working closely in collaboration. Your Excellency, the bottom line here is partnership. We need to partner with the county government. We need to partner with the politicians. We need to partner with the local leaders. We need to partner with everybody. And that is why we are here. So when we finish this deliberation, let's come with solutions which will assist us to counter this menace. Because if we don't, then we'll be fighting a bigger monster than it is today. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oburu. Your Excellency, the Deputy President, our last presentation will be done by the National Police Service. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes. And as we said earlier, we will try as much as possible to be very summative in your presentation.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, all protocols observed, good afternoon. My name is Dominic Kisavi. I'm going to take you through analysis of illicit brew and drug abuse, substance abuse in the region of Central and parts of Eastern region. I'm going to talk about the 5 counties of Central and the 3 counties of Eastern, that is Meru, Tharaka Nithi, and Embu. I'll try to be as fast as possible. I'll not talk about, when you talk about drugs, what you talk about, because we all know about drugs. But one of the questions as a crime analyst we ask ourselves is, the substances or the products or ingredients that are used to brew these drinks, where do they come from? From where we sit, we know they come from We have methanol coming from all the way from Tanzania and Uganda. They pass through our borders. They pass through other regions to Central. We know majority of the drugs, we look at the drugs, that is the cannabis sativa, that is bang, heroin, cocaine. They don't, all of them come from this region. We have some quite, a good number come from Mount Kenya forest, which a lot of them have been uprooted. But we have drugs coming from Ethiopia, all through Moyale, Marsabit, up to this region. The question is, what are the other regions doing about this? That's one of the questions we ask ourselves. And when it comes to second generation brews or drinks, some of these people who manufacture these brews or drinks are licensed. And they are licensed by government agencies. We need to relook into that. I will not dwell on the factors that drive people into this, because we know them, most of it being greed for quick money. Also, its availability of the ingredients that make these things. We know unemployment is a bit high, but the youth need to look for something better to do other than get involved in illicit brew and sale of narcotic substances. When you look at the trade of drugs and psychotropic substances in the region, we realize that despite the efforts being made by the national government and other agencies to fight these menaces, the abuse continues to increase with the time. And also, we also take into cognition that, cognizance that the second generation brews are also very cheap and available to most people. In our analysis, we look for the period of April to March of 2022 to 2023, going backwards for 3 years so that we can see whether we are winning the war or not. We will start with the drug substance abuse trade in the counties of Central, that's 5 of them. And the period under review is April 2022 to March 2023, where we noticed that a total of 2,208 suspects were arrested, and that also led to seizure of 1,922 sachets, 170 tablets, 755 kilograms, most of that is cannabis sativa, 53,645 rolls of bang, 2 bales of bang, 2,567 plants were uprooted, 93 brooms were seized, 143 stones and 60 seedlings were also seized. Out of the 2,208 persons arrested, 1,874 of them were charged for the offenses of possession, 29 for cultivation, 305 for trafficking. In the 3 categories of drugs seized in Central Kenya include bang, cocaine, and heroin. But when you look at the preference, bang, or the cannabis sativa, in terms of quantity seized, was the highest, as shown in the table below. You look at that, the green part, that is Kiambu, is leading in terms of arrests. Kiambu, you are doing a good job. It is followed by, I think, Nyeri. Mante is followed by Muranga. And the list is Nyandarua. I don't know whether it is that the abuse is low or something, but I think everybody is doing his best. That chart is showing in terms of arrests for offenses of possession of narcotics, that the three categories that we identified in that region. You can see bang is still leading, followed by heroin and cocaine. Next one, please. Now this is full details in terms of seizure of narcotic drugs for the months of April 2022 to March 2023. If you look at that, you look at the total number of cases detected, we still have 1,994 cases pending before court. And out of that, another cases of which have been finalized is 314 have been finalized. We still have some persons who are on the run, and police are looking for them. You have one person in the whole region, and those pending under investigation is only 2. Let's proceed, please. Now, this is a periodic comparison in the region. In terms of comparison, there has been a steady and gradual increase in the number of persons arrested for drug-related offenses. During the period of April 2020 to March 2021, a total of 620 persons were arrested. This number rose to 1,406 suspects arrested in the period of April 2021 to March 2022, representing a 56% increase in arrest. That's a good job. And during this period under review, that is April 2022 to March 2023, the number of arrests further increased to 2,208, representing a 6% increase as shown below. Let's go to the next one. Still on the periodic comparison, you can see the trend of enforcement in terms of arrests is really climbing up in the central region. Let's go to the next one. And this is the number of arrests comparatively for the whole period of 2020 April to 2023 March. You can see in terms of Kiambu is leading in terms of arrests with up to 1,480 this year, which is a steady increase. Let's go to the next one. Now, when you go to count analysis, Kiambu has been leading in terms of among the 5 counties, not only in the number of arrests, but also in the number of offenses detected, as well as quantity seized by enforcement officers. In April 2022 to March 2023, for instance, Kiambu County recorded a seizure of 614 kilograms of bang, and as well as a record 42,275 rolls of drug substances. Within the same period, there is no other county apart from Kiambu which was able to net about 50 kilograms of bang or 55,000 rolls. Let's proceed. Still on drug substance. Now we go to Eastern region in terms to analyze the drug and substance abuse. The counties under review are Meru, Tharaka Nithi, and Embu. During the period under review, that is April 2022 to March 2023, a total of 389 persons were arrested for either possession, cultivation, or trafficking bang, leading to seizure of 36 sachets, 299 kilograms of bang, 8. Okay, we can skip Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Central. We go to, proceed please, we go to illicit brew. We go to illicit brew, please, illicit brew. Now, we look at the issue of illicit brew in the regions of, in the central region for the 5 counties. A total of 22,816 liters of illicit brew were netted for the period of April 2020 to March 2021. And during the same period, a total of 47,660 liters were destroyed in the region. During the same period, Murang'a County recorded the highest number of illicit brew netted with 909,852 liters, while Kiambu County had the highest amount of illicit brew destroyed with 44,860 liters. This figure decreased to 11,573 liters netted, and the amount of illicit brew destroyed increased to 80,036 liters, or 68% increase during the period of April 2021 to March 2022. The period between April 2020 to March 2023, amount of brew netted was 25,715 and 64,782 were destroyed. The total number of persons arrested was 680, arrested between the period of April 2020 to March 2021. So these ones have been doing a good job. Kiambu had the highest number of persons arrested. Proceed, please. That is the illustrative data. Yes. Let's go to the next one, please. These also charts. They will be available to you in future. You can proceed. Skip Eastern. Let's go to the roll this one. Now, let's go to the, we have been told the impact of this on our health budget in the country and in our counties. We are also losing labor, very active labor, because of this lack of skilled labor. Let's go to the next one. These are some of the challenges that the service is facing, but the government is doing a good job. Let's go to the next one. Now, to summarize this, my colleagues, let's not get tired. Let's try to save our generation for the future of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I think these presentations are there to jog your minds and also give you just a glimpse of what has been happening over the years up to the moment, so that we are able now, when we are making our contributions in the plenary, we are able to address these issues with the seriousness that it deserves. Deputy President, allow me now to go to the next session, where I'll call upon our leaders to come and give us their reflections on some of the issues that have been presented here, and also their own personal input in as far as this challenging problem is concerned. And on that note, allow me to take this opportunity to request the CS Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, to come and address us. Karibu Bwana CS.
Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President, all protocols observed. First, I want to thank you, Your Excellency, and the President for profiling what is clearly a major threat to our nation's future. I believe that your personal engagement and the support of His Excellency the President will go a long way in helping us crack this problem. Your Excellency, for us at the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, we have identified what we consider the greatest threats to our country's future. And this is one of them. Among the three national security threats is number one, terrorism. And although we have not had terrorist attacks for a while, all our energies and focus in this sector are geared towards remaining alert and focused to detect, thwart, and deal with any attempt to hurt our country by terrorists. And I want to commend our officers who are helping us in this fight for sustaining for some time now a very, 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 very successful effort. The second threat is the threat of cattle rustling, which is affecting approximately 9 counties, out of which we have put in place measures, specific security measures in 5 of them. The problem of bandits. The third problem, or the third threat, is what we are talking about here today, which is the trade, use, abuse of illicit alcohol, as well as psychotropic substances and drugs. This is a problem that is likely to impair Kenya's future in a big way unless it is addressed. Your Excellency, I want to assure you and the country that at the Ministry of Interior, having profiled the problem of alcohol and drug abuse as part of the top 3 national security threats, we will support the national effort to tackle this problem with the same vigor, commitment, focus, and finality that we are continue to apply in the other 2 threats which I've identified, which is the fight against terror and the fight against bandits attacks. I know I have had discussions with elected leaders from this region, and they have said they would want all of us in the ministry, the same way we have waged a sustained war on bandits, to also come and camp here and other parts of the country that are affected and wage a similar, if not more vicious war against the terror of drug and substance abuse. I know, Your Excellency, in your opening remarks, you did highlight and point out the complexity of this matter. And you carefully advised all of us to be candid because the matter is complex. We cannot come here and pretend. And I think for us to resolve this matter and address it with finality, we must be open to each other and tell each other the truth as a country, because this is about our country. It's not about another country. It's about us. It's about our families, our children, and our future. The police have work to do. KRA has work to do. KEBS has work to do. Our political leaders have work to do. everybody has a job to do. I want to assure you, Your Excellency, for us, we are aligned to the vision of the President and yourself to make sure we get Kenya out of this menace. We'll not spare any effort, and based on the recommendations of this forum and the other forums that will be taking place in other parts of the country, we give you the highest assurances of our commitment to implement the decisions that will be owned by these stakeholders gathered here today and that will be gathered elsewhere. Finally, Your Excellency, because today is not my day to talk, today is my day to listen. I want to say that however complex and difficult and challenging this problem is, however entrenched the problem is, however powerful and complicated the players are, nothing, and I dare repeat, nothing can defeat the collective resolve of a country determined to save its future. I believe we can get rid of this problem. It will be costly, but it can be done. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to taking notes on my homework, which I should carry home this evening as my contribution to this national effort to redeem our future. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Let's give him another round of applause, please. Thank you very much, our CS Interior. The next speaker, I want to request the Chair of the Council of Governors, Her Excellency, Madam Anne Waiguru, to address us. Karibu, Mheshimiwa.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, my colleague governors who are present, led by our host, Governor of Nyeri, Waziri for Interior, Professor Kindiki, all elected leaders, members of Parliament, and Senate, led by our majority leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the entire security sector that is represented and led by the IG, the DIG, and the RC. All protocols observed. Good afternoon. Your Excellency, allow me to start by thanking you for this initiative, and thank you most sincerely because as a Council of Governors, we had an opportunity to have a briefing on the issue of alcohol and substance abuse when we had our retreat. Your Excellency, during that retreat, if you recall, the governors were quite surprised because we were given not statistics just for the central region, but for the entire country. A lot of the times when the conversations come about alcohol abuse, especially, people refer to central Kenya. So my colleagues were very shocked at the way that this problem has cut across the nation. I thank you, Your Excellency, and I thank His Excellency, the President as well, for starting with the central region to come up with policies and initiatives to deal with this problem. Your Excellency, allow me to take a different approach. I will not give general remarks. I think I will make a comment from my experience as governor so that we can now probably start having a conversation on what is it that we can do now that we have seen what the problem is. Your Excellency, let us start with the admission. We have a problem. We have a very serious problem. We have a problem that we have always acknowledged that is there. We gather together. We look at the statistics. We say how serious this problem is, and then we go home and the problem continues. I think, Your Excellency, today we will do Central Kenya in this country some justice if we walk out of this forum with tangible steps and solutions of what we can do. There are certain questions that were arising as we were looking at the statistics. For example, is it commendable? Does it look like we're working when we net more people with illegal or illicit brews? Shouldn't the problem be that there is actually no one to arrest because no one is making illicit brew? I think we need to start asking ourselves how we're measuring our performance. What is it that indicates that we have performed? The number of, I know there was one issue my colleague was whispering to me when they showed the statistics about single parents. And he said in Kirinyaga, our statistics were not looking very favorable. And he was trying to tell me the nature of the women in Kirinyaga. And especially that we do not wait to be proposed to. And we threaten that you either tell me in Kirinyaga, we say, you know? So the reason, so we're arguing whether the alcohol is actually the reason why there is an increase in single parenting. I think we need to look and delve very seriously, and on a more serious note, more seriously on the solutions. I'll give you my example of Kirinyaga County. You saw that I have very few bars and restaurants. But many of you who have been following this sector, you'll know I've had serious wars with bar owners in Kirinyaga. At the moment, I'm in court, and I think I have several court cases, because we started with a crackdown, and I must thank Your Excellency, the security sector in Kirinyaga, the national security sector led by the county commissioner, they work very well with us. And they did the rounds of ensuring that we're making sure the bars are adhering to the law in terms of the opening and closing times, and also ensuring they have licenses, because they had refused to pay licenses in excess of 100 million for the last 2 years. And yet they were operating. Some of them selling second generation alcohol and illegal brews. So we closed quite a number of them. Your Excellency, we did a great job with the enforcement. We partnered with the county commissioner, the police, our enforcement team, our committee on alcohol, and we managed to bring down the numbers. But Your Excellency, recently they went to court. And when they went to court, especially the ones that we had closed, they were given very little bail terms, 1,000, 2,000. The maximum, I think, got 8,000. And so what do? They pay, and then they continue. What did that do to our officers? They got demoralized, because these operations are carried out at night. They are taxing for the teams. But when you go around, and then after a week, somebody has a court order that they are allowed to actually continue until the case is finished, it brought a huge complication. So one of the proposals that I would make from where I sit, Your Excellency, is we understand the independence of the judiciary. But the judiciary is part of our society. They are also parents, and they also live in our communities. An engagement, a multisectoral engagement, where they see the statistics and understand the challenges of where we are coming from as the leadership, it would go a long way to help us. Your Excellency, we agree on the issue of the partnership between the national and the county, and adjusting our committee, especially on licensing. I think the critical issue of licensing, Your Excellency, must be looked at. We are the ones licensing, but we would embrace that joint licensing regime, because when we don't license, for example, in my county, they go and get support from other leaders. And those leaders put pressure on us on the issue of licensing. Then the issue of limiting the number of bars is going to be very tricky. But if a decision must be taken, Your Excellency, I think we should take a bold decision. How many bars, for example, should there be in Kagio, which only has 5,000 people? There should be a limit. Not every other shop should be a bar. Not every other shop should be a bar and restaurant. Not every restaurant should also be a bar and restaurant. And I think this will also help us quite a bit. Your Excellency, there are some places we should not even negotiate. Next to schools, Your Excellency, we should not have any bar or any drinking institution next, any drinking joint next to a learning institution. It should not be allowed. There should be designated places where it is far from our children, so that it's also not tempting as the children are going home, or they do not get to interact with those kind of people. So, Your Excellency, on the issues of legislation, we may suggest, to make it easier, maybe have one national legislation which every county customizes, or we all just have to comply with it, as opposed to every county having a separate legislation on what it is that they're licensing and what it is that they're not licensing. And Your Excellency, I say this because when the bar owners and me got into a conflict, the county government of Kirinyaga and the bar owners, if you remember, they actually told me that I am not being very good, and I'm not a very good governor, because my neighbor, one of my neighbors, is allowing them to do the things that I'm refusing to be done in Kirinyaga. And I said it in the media. I said, then go open your business in the neighbor's county. Don't come to force this county to change the laws because you want to be allowed to go beyond the hours and to also serve, let me say, second generational alcohol. So the issue of legislation that is cuts across the nation, a national legislation would be a great step so that we're not negotiating at this level. And Your Excellency, I'll push it a little further. Not just legislation saying how many bars, where they should be, what category etc., but even limiting the number. So you say, like we say for health centers, for example, we all know that we should have a health center every 7 kilometers, minimum. We can find a way of limiting the number of bars, especially per distance and per population. So everybody knows that beyond this distance, I do not expect to find drinking joint. Your Excellency, the final thing that I would want to suggest, and I hope that we'll all be able to collaborate, not just in central Kenya, but across the country, is the issue of bringing all the leaders, including all the leaders at the county level, to the table. Your Excellency, I know this meeting is mostly for policy makers and practitioners, but I will tell you the greatest help that I have had in the fight against illicit brews in Kirinyaga has been from my county assembly. And the reason being, even when they tried to call the county assembly, even when they tried to lobby to change our legislation at the county level, because I had already engaged them and they were supporting, they refused. And so Kirinyaga has been able to retain the numbers the way they are. So I will request Your Excellency, you may consider calling the MCAs, not just the representative by the Speaker and the Majority Leader, but the members of the County Assembly in this region and everywhere, to understand the importance of adopting the legislation as is from the national government. I think that will go a very long way to save on time and to also enable us to have quick wins to ensuring that we are curbing the menace for drug and substance abuse. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Chair, Council of Governors. She has given us a very good contribution. The one who will follow her will be Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the leader of majority in our National Assembly. Karibu Mheshimiwa. Let's give him a loud applause.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, all protocols observed. Your Excellency, let me begin by thanking you for organizing this forum for all of us to come together to look for solutions. And I want to join you and the CS Kindiki in what you have said, that we must not make this forum and others that will follow to be a finger pointing and blame game forum. Because as the Governor Kirinyaga has said, we must accept that we have a big problem. I think from the statistics that came from NACADA, it's quite clear that this problem is bigger in our region than anywhere else in the country. And it is not that, Your Excellency, the people of the Mount Kenya region are all partakers of drugs and love alcohol more than anything else. Just that by the nature of our people, we are a very enterprising community, and a community that looks for opportunities wherever people think or believe that they will make money. But I think it is time that we come to the realization that, as many of the speakers that have spoken before me have said, that there has to be a price that we will pay. Our county governments may have to live with the fact that they will lose a few channels of revenue. And so will the national government. I was just engaging with the Acting Commissioner General of KRA, and I was reminding her, in 2015, I sponsored a law, the Alcoholics Amendment Act of 2015, that sought to do two things, three actually. One was to declare alcoholism as a disease, because indeed, alcoholism is a disease. And we are asking our religious leaders to preach to our young people the dangers of alcoholism and try to speak them out of alcoholism. But you cannot speak someone out of a disease. You cannot preach someone out of a disease. You have to treat them. And therefore, I want to agree with the speaker who spoke from NACADA that we must work together with our county governments to ensure that we establish rehabilitation centers as treatment centers in all our counties in this region to treat those of us who are sick from the disease of alcoholism. The second objective of that bill or act of parliament was to make alcoholic drinks that are healthy affordable to many of our people. And we created a provision within our laws, the Excise Duty Act, to give 90% excise duty remission to beers that were produced from sorghum and millet. And the Honorable CS, who was then the senator for Tharaka Nithi, I engaged him because many of his farmers had suffered because they could not market the sorghum and millet that they were growing, especially the sorghum that they grow in Tharaka Nithi and parts of Kitui County and parts of Kericho, not Kirinyaga. But then successively, Your Excellency, our own government, between 2016 and 2021, in every finance bill we have targeted excise duty, the same excise duty on that beer. It's now, I think, at a 50% remission. And looking at data from beer manufacturers and even from KRA, they will tell you, successively, national government revenues from excise duty on alcohol has been going down. The uptake of second and third generation alcoholic drinks has also been going up. Therefore, there is some correlation between higher taxes on parts of the alcoholic drinks that are being sold and the uptake of illicit drinks. And therefore, there are hard decisions that we must make. And that we will not do with just KRA, we will not do by pointing fingers at our administrators and our police, who will in turn, as I was saying in the holding room, Your Excellency, the police will point fingers at the judiciary will point fingers at the county governments, and for those of us who are members of parliament and MCAs, we will point fingers at everybody. But that does not give us a solution. And therefore, I want to pray, Your Excellency, that these forums will come up with tangible and long-term solutions to the problem that bedevils not just our region, but our country. Your Excellency, I just want to conclude by saying from the National Assembly and Parliament, we shall do and endeavor to do whatever it will take. If there are laws that we need to change, it will not take us more than 3 weeks to do public participation and push those bills or amendments that we need to do. Because we must rescue, as you said, Your Excellency, a generation of young people that is going to waste. In another 10 to 15 years, this region will not have any productive young people. We pride ourselves as a region that we are enterprising, we are productive, we are rich, and we are many. But I was being challenged because when some other data was projected here, and I'm sitting next to my Governor Wamatangi, Kiambu was leading with the highest number of bars, highest number of wines and spirit shops, highest number of bars and restaurants. And I was telling my governor, these bars and restaurants is basically a bar with a bowl of smoky sausages, and they are licensed. But then the other presenter came on education, the regional director education. And we noticed with my governor that between 2019 and 2020, there was an upsurge of ECD students or pupils being registered in ECDs. Then the member of parliament for Nyeri Town and Nomba Ukanini Kega said that Ishioshiana Morashiarero Neado Agetishianyu. But I want to confirm, Your Excellency, that those children registered in ECD centers in Kiambu are our children. We are siring those children. It is not outsiders who are siring those children for us. And we want to continue siring these children, Your Excellency. And therefore, I am saying that because Kiambu, we must look at Kiambu in a very special way because we have many challenges. Ruaka in Kiamba constituency, Your Excellency, and you were there when we were campaigning in Ruaka about a year and a half ago. Ruaka today is worse than Mombasa City was years ago in terms of hard drugs. All manner of nationalities from Western Africa now reside in Ruaka, vending drugs and using very innocent young people and mothers carrying babies on their backs, carrying diaper bags and vending drugs, hard drugs. But the interesting thing, Your Excellency, I had a forum like this 3 weeks ago in Dogoto, at Dogoto Teachers College, and we were being told there is a lady who is known who moves with drugs from Kawangware to Dogoto with a baby strapped on her back and a diaper carrying bag that carries bags. But residents know the lady. The police, of course, know the lady. The chief, definitely, if the population, the people know, the chief must also know. But she's untouchable. That is a story in every village in our region, Your Excellency. And that's why I'm saying, let us not point fingers at the police, let us not point fingers at our administrators, let us not point fingers at our governors. let us point fingers to ourselves, all of us collectively, and say that we have failed. But it is time to now act. I was saying Kiambu, because of our proximity to Nairobi, we are a special case, and you must look at us as a special case. We are more endangered in this region more than any other county in the region, Your Excellency, and we will plead that whatever you do from our county commissioner, let us put a lot of effort in Kiambu. With those very many remarks, Your Excellency, rest assured that whatever we have to do as members of parliament, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate, we shall do to make sure that we have legislative proposals and interventions that will help to cure our nation from this cancer of alcohol, drugs, and substance abuse. With those many remarks, asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
Tumuongezee makofi. Asante for that assurance from the National Assembly. Your Excellency, the Deputy President, next speaker, I want to call upon the Inspector General, the National Police Service, to come and give his remarks. Karibu Banaiji. Give him a round of applause.
Naibu Rais wa nchi yetu tukufu, CS Interior, a chair, a council of governors, magavana ambao wako na sisi leo, leader of majority kwa bunge letu, MPs, MCAs, other government officials with us today, my colleagues in the security sector, wananchi watukufu. Your Excellency, I would like first to thank you most sincerely for bringing us together to discuss this worrying and disturbing matter. Mheshimiwa Naibu Rais, pahali tumefika, enough is enough. Ulevi kusema ukweli umezidi. We are not careful, we are going to lose our generation. We are not careful, tutakuwa na naibu raisi ambaye ni mulevi. We are not careful, tutakuwa na inspector generali anakuja hapa ni mulevi. Tutakuwa na CS wakati unakuja ambaye ni mulevi. Enough is enough. Your Excellency, I wish to declare my interest. I know last evening I talked to my CS. Akaniambia tumeitwa kule Nyeri kuongea mambo ya ulevi. Sasa kwa nini tuache watu wa nyumbani kule, na shinda ni kubwa zaidi? Na ndio sababu tumeita County Police Commander wa Embu yuko hapa. County Commander, Police Commander wa Tharaka Nithi yuko hapa, uko shida ni kubwa. County Police Commander wa Meru yuko hapa, including the Regional Police Commander wa Eastern. Kwa sababu tulisema mambo ya Mount Kenya yanazungumzwa, kwa nini tuachwe nje? Yale mazuri yanatoka huko, hata sisi tuwe pale. Mheshimiwa Makamu Rais, na nilikutajia pale asubuhi. Nikienda kule nyumbani kwetu, ulevi, vijana wamelewa kabisa. Ilibidi juzi niweke 10 au walevi nizungumza nao, wamelewa. Waona kijana ni mdogo miaka 20 amenona kabisa, uso umefura, na ni pombe tu. Sasa nikauliza, huu levi si hata hiyo ini yako utachoma? Your Excellency, nilikuwa nakueleza, mmoja aliniambia, wewe Inspector General, mambo ya ini yangu sitaje. Huyo liver akae kando, ninyo pombe ipite. Kwa nini huyo liver anakuja kwa barabara ya pombe? That is how far. That is how bad things are. We can't continue that way. Enough is enough. Na sitasimama hapa kama Inspector General to be on the defensive. Nikiangalia hapa naona uniform imejaa hapa. Na mimi naongea kwa niaba ya wale wote from the security sector. Tuko wengi hapa. Kusema ukweli, kujaribu kusema sisi ni wasafi. Sisi ni kama pamba. Tukubali. Tusiwe on the defensive. Iko shida. Na si vizuri tushinde hapa kuongea wenzangu. Tumeleta deputy president hapa. Tumeleta magavana wameketi hapa tangu asubuhi mpaka saa huu. Hawa wananchi wote. Then once we leave here, there is no action. It can't happen. Your Excellency, we have a WhatsApp forum now, commanders. I told them part of their performance contract with me. Di pale kila asubuhi wana post jana zile raid walifanya ya pombe. Wana post kwa WhatsApp group picha. Naona. But we are not doing enough. We are not doing enough. Officers wenzangu in uniform. Hata kama iko tunasema we are independent. Hapana, iko interdependence. Na all the elected officials wale wako hapa. I've asked my officers to work with the elected officials. They have no option. They must work with you. Kwa sababu county police commander hapa can be transferred. But can we transfer Governor Kaiga? So if you don't work with the governor here, although atusemi naye governor akishika walevi, wewe police officer ukishika regional commander, ukishika walevi wamejaa kwa seli, mimi najua governor atakupigia simu achilia. Na hiyo tukubaliane, elected officials. Kwa sababu hii kazi tutaifanya. Na maofisa wengu tumekubaliana. I told the deputy president this morning, and I'm not threatening anybody. Najua kuna mengine tutazungumza kule baadaye, lakini we are not going to transfer a problem. If you are OCS Kiamariga, pale bangi imezidi, na ulevi umezidi, why do I transfer you to Kirinyaga? Is that the right thing to do? I'm transferring a problem. Aya, kazi lazima tufanye. Your Excellency, tumekuwa accused, tunachukua vitu kule. Na labda ni vizuri Deputy President yako hapa. Ma-OCS ila mailetea IG kitu, labda mnaenda mkurokota kule mkisema mnapelekea nani? Uko juu. Yule mailetea mimi hapa, County Commander, OCPD, Regional Commander wao kuniletea. Your Excellency wapiga saluti. Simama wapiga saluti, Your Excellency yaone. Waliletea kitu. Kwa hivyo wakati wanashika kule na kuachilia, hiyo ni shida yao. Na kila mtu atabeba msalaba wake. I'm not threatening anybody. Because we must, mimi CS wangu waja niuliza kitu. Hako hapa. Hakuna siku ameuliza kitu. His Excellency amenipatia uhuru wa kufanya kazi. And maofisa wenzangu, mimi nitasema mbele ya umati, muko na serikali ambayo inawasikiza. Mulikuwa mmenyang'anywa kwa mambo ya licensing ya bunduki, civilian firearm licensing. His Excellency amewarudishia. Yule sawa na license ni officer mwenzenu. Jana tu Coast Guard ilikuwa commanded na retired military officers. Jana tu His Excellency appoint a police officer asimamie awe Director General wa Coast Guard. Juzi tu bilioni 20 zimetolewa, mnapata vifaa, bunduki nzuri, ndege za kupigana na wakora wa North Rift. What am I saying? There is a lot of goodwill from the government. Mshahara unatengenezwa. Na mimi najua wakati His Excellency anafunga hiki kikao, mimi najua haya tataja tu. Mambo haya tataja, very soon mfuko utakuwa mzuri and you'll be running to the bank kwenda kuweka kitu. So serikali inaangalia maslahi ya maofisa. Ours, we have a responsibility to give back by serving wananchi wetu watukufu. Hii Ruaka imekuwa kila pahali, Ruaka, Roysambu. Ni ukweli. We have foreigners wamejaa pale Roysambu, wanauza drugs and they are known. Deputy President atuambia saa huu wakati anakuja hapa alitumua nambari ya gari ya polisi ambayo inarokota pesa. Your Excellency, am I talking too much or? But aliniambia mimi nikiwa kwa ndege, mwananchi wa hapa Nyeri alinitumia namba ya polisi ambaye naenda mahali fulani kuchukua nini? Kurokota kitu. That will not take you anywhere. That is custody money. Therefore, Your Excellency, mine is to assure you that we are committed. This is a fight we must win. Ulevi huwezi endelea. I know there is also another conversation about even ulevi ambayo inaruhusiwa. Na hata imekuwa too much. Tunaona kwa barabara baa ziko all the highways. Na wamezoea kuweka flat huko watu wanakaa juu kule juu. Sasa unapata mwanaume anakaa kwa pale weightlifting from Friday to Sunday, just weightlifting. I mean, we can't continue this way. Therefore, this is a conversation, Your Excellency, which must continue. This drunkenness, lazima tutaja. Otherwise, mine is too sure and may God bless you. Lakini Your Excellency, niruhusu ni introduce huyu DIG is a day old. And he has instructions to hit the ground running. Come, Bwana Kanja. Your Excellency, tunakushukuru kwa kutupa huyu generali. Is a long-serving officer, wealth of experience, and we know him as a person of integrity. Kwanza hiyo vita ya kupigana na pombe, public safety iko kwake. Hii ni siku yake is it ya pili? So can you a commitment, your commitment, personal commitment?
Your Excellency, our Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, all the governors present, members of Parliament and National Assembly, MCAs, the leadership of the National Police Service headed by the IG, and all the officers present here, good afternoon. To start with, my name is Douglas Kanja Kirocho, formerly the Commandant General Service Unit, and right now the Deputy Inspector General in charge of the Kenya Police Service. First of all is to appreciate our President for finding favor in me and appointing me the Deputy Inspector General. I'm happy about that. In charge of around 75,000 officers who are responsible in the profession of security within our republic to ensure that we have peace and security. We cannot have peace and security when half of the republic is drunk. Our CS was categorical and clear. We have three major challenges. Number one, terrorism. Number 2, bandit, cattle rustling. And now number 3 is alcoholism and the drug abuse. The first 2 have been dealing with terrorism, cattle rustling, and bandits. That have actually been my field of specialization. Remember, I was the operations commander in Dusit when the Republic was attacked. I went there, I worked for 19 hours together with others, and we were successful. We ensured that we liquidated the terrorists, and we were able to save 1,200 Kenyans and other nationalities who are trapped in the Dusit buildings. I've been deployed in burning down there when there were real troubles of terrorism. Right now, Lamu area, coastal region are quiet. Northeastern is quiet. We are operating in North Rift right now, dealing with the bandits. And I want to assure you, Your Excellency, that it's just a matter of time. That area will be quiet, like any other areas within this republic. Now, I'm going to deal now with the issues of drugs, alcoholism. And for your information, I happen to come from this county. I've been born here, brought up here, educated in this county. My people are here, my family, my friends, and everybody else is here. I am pained by what we are seeing here. My small shopping center, half of them are drunks. So it's a big challenge, but we are equal to the task. I want to assure you, Your Excellency, that we are going to walk this journey together with others and everybody of goodwill. At the end of the day, we are going to succeed because we have even succeeded where things were very thick. Even this one, I want to assure you that we are going to succeed. Our fellow officers, I count on you to support us so that we can be able to eradicate this menace. We will be having separate discussions so that we can be able to see how best we can be able to deal with these issues. As our IG has said, internally we have our own problems. We are going to address those problems so that we can be able to also move forward. And with those few remarks, let me say thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, our new Deputy Inspector General, KPS, for giving us a lot of hope and encouragement. I now wish Your Excellency, the Deputy President, to call upon the Acting Director General, Kenya Revenue Authority, Madam Roslyn Simiyu, to give us her remarks. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes. Karibu sana, Madam.
Your Excellency, Deputy President, CS Interior, our governors, all governors present, all PSS present, our IG, all our leaders in various sectors of government, in the political sphere, and even our religious leaders, good afternoon. Your Excellency, allow me to make a small correction. I think I've just been baptized by the MC. He called me Roslyn, but I am Rispa. So just following on the concerns of the day and very many sentiments that have been shared here. Your Excellency, you started by actually setting the right tone and saying that we are not here to point fingers and it's not a blame game. But I think, as the IG has actually said, where there is a problem, it is important to start by acknowledging that there is a problem. When we look across our country and we step back, even in our space as Kenya Revenue Authority, what is our role? beyond just that core mandate that we have called upon to do of collecting, mobilizing revenue to keep the wheels of this government, of our government running, when you look at this space on the subject at hand that we are discussing today, Your Excellency, we do license excise manufacturers. And as it is now, we do have just about 55 licensed manufacturers, excise manufacturers, of which about 44 are operational. And when we talk about excise manufacturers, we're talking about alcohol manufacturers and cigarette manufacturers, who are just largely two. But what we continue to see, Your Excellency, is that there's an upshoot of, I would call them quote-unquote manufacturers in every corner of our country. And I will not belabor the point because that has been pointed out before. Your Excellency, from where we sit, one of the key issues we have seen is the concern around illicit ethanol. Illicit ethanol and sometimes even industrial chemicals are being used to manufacture these alcoholic products. And this is what is damaging our society. Your Excellency, when you look at this illicit ethanol, for starters, and to me I would say perhaps it also goes back to lack of patriotism, and perhaps in some instances, greed to make a quick buck. Why? In looking at the cost of excise in our country, or rather cost of excise in the region, Tanzania, our neighbors, the excise on ethanol is actually zero. So there's actually no excise on ethanol. Ethanol, which is the core ingredient that is used to manufacture alcohol. Across, on the other side, Uganda, it is about 79 shillings per liter, plus or minus. If you look in Kenya, it is about 356 shillings per liter. Your Excellency, that starts by saying that just by the realization that we know that the underlying ingredient is costly, you have people bringing the illicit one across the country or from across the borders and using it, and of course, even adulterating it and creating something that is more lethal. As it is now, we are working with the National Treasury to just find a way and a break-even point on the matter of excise, because as the majority leader rightly said, that an increase in taxes is not necessarily, an increase, in excise does not necessarily end up with increase in revenues. So we have so many people sprouting, whereas we even have manufacturers of alcohol who are licensed, and rightly so. The same licensed alcohols are running parallel operations. Your Excellency, ethanol is a problem. Two, and has been said by a previous speaker, low fines and penalties. Both even within our acts, and that is something we are reviewing, and beyond. Thirdly, again, and we acknowledge this, that sometimes we have worked very well with other arms of government, DCI, NIS, and when we agree on a crackdown, unfortunately, information goes beyond us, before us. By the time you get there, you find a different conversation. In some instances where we have actually confiscated this product, we actually put them in some of our designated warehouses. But when you go to pick them as evidence to produce before court, in some instances, Your Excellency, you find them missing. So whereas the partnership is there, and I think the IG, I appreciate what you've said, that partnership needs to go a notch higher. Your Excellency, in some instances, it gets worse, where we have diligent officers who are doing their job, but because of these unscrupulous people, they are threatened. Their lives are threatened, their families are threatened. So again, it goes back to our patriotism. Your Excellency, I also admit that there could be an issue. There's an issue of information awareness. We have a product on the stamps, on these illicit products. We call it track and trace. So we have the stamps, both paper and digital. Unfortunately, again, we acknowledge and we are aware that there are also parallel concerns running parallel stamps. So what we have done is have an app that we call Soma Label. If you download this app called Soma Label, you're able to put it on the stamp, whether digital or paper, and it can actually tell you whether that product is genuine or not. Question is, how many of us then are keen to do that? How many have the capability to do that? Or is it that our society has deteriorated to the extent that all people want is a quick fix? What is in the content doesn't matter. So, Your Excellency, it goes back to patriotism. We are different leaders with different capabilities and in different offices. Just calling upon us to speak one language. Because for KRA, we are spread across the country. We have a division staff that cover across the country. If you look at Central and its environs, we have presence in Nyeri, Embu, Meru, and Thika. We are working on expanding our operations, but we cannot be everywhere at the same time. So calling again on that whole of government approach to move together as one team. Your Excellency, Waswahili wanasema kila soko lina mwenda wazimu wake. And it means right from the home, in our offices, in our spaces, we will not stand here and say we are clean. But it means the important thing is to accept and realize there is a problem. And for that, we truly appreciate this event, this bringing together like-minded people, so that then we can have a sharing of minds and ideas, and of course, speak from the general public. What can we do better? What can we do differently? Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. We apologize for missing out the proper name. Thank you very much. Our last in a series of the speakers, I want to call upon the Managing Director, KEBS, retired Colonel Bernard Jiraine. Please let's give him a applause as he comes.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Cabinet Secretary, Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, the Chair of the Council of Governors, the Chair of the National Parliament Majority Leader, Governors, Permanent Principal Secretaries present, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Colonel retired Bernard Jiraine. I'm the Managing Director, Kenya Bureau of Standards, the agency that is responsible for governing and maintaining standards in the Republic of Kenya. Our overall objective is generally to enhance the business competitiveness through standards and quality. We are therefore there to ensure that we develop the standards that are appropriate for the products that we consume, so that we can ensure we sustain safety. In addition to that, we are also the custodians of the national standards. All the measures that are there in the country are also entrusted on KEBS to ensure that we have traceability to international systems of units And the regulatory work that we also do is to ensure that we inspect all goods coming from abroad to ensure they also meet the standards that we have all agreed. And also, we go out there to ensure manufacturers also are able to manufacture within the parameters that we have agreed. Our scope is wide, and therefore, we work with all stakeholders. When it comes to development of standards, and I'm very delighted that all the leaders that have spoken before here have made their commitment to this call by His Excellency the President, that we need to eradicate alcoholism and illicit alcohol. We have developed over 20 standards jointly in Kenya and at the East African level. As you know, for us to be able to trade with our partner states, we have to harmonize our standards. We have all these standards that are there to guide us, to ensure that whatever we are making, whatever we are importing, is in compliance to these standards. I would like to say from the very onset that we have explored various ways and means to accommodate those that probably need to take alcohol. We have developed a standard for Chang'aa. There is a standard for Chang'aa, and the essence for that was to try to bring on board formalized establishments or farms that can be able to manufacture in an organized, structured way where we have control measures so that we do not have illicit or toxic Chang'aa. In addition to that, we have also developed another standard for cereal beer flour. We have now realized maybe we want to revisit and understand whether some of the measures that we've done have contributed to probably the problem that we have right now. We have, for example, now withdrawn the permit for the cereal beer flour that has been very common in the Mount Kenya region. However, just like CG KRA has said, sometimes when you tighten so much, you also allow unscrupulous traders to circumvent and produce this product outside. So it's a delicate balancing act that we are presented with here. Because most of the data that I wanted to present has been presented by NACADA and KRA. I would like to say that, for example, we have licensed 49 manufacturers. We have given them the permits. We have given the permits, for example, to also produce the portable spirits that we are talking about. And portable spirits, or second generation alcohol, as we call it, is a product that is made out of distilled fermented carbohydrates. But we adjusted the standard, and the standards are made by not Kenya Bureau of Standards. They are made by teams of experts, university professors, all experts. We invite them, they join the technical committees. So the amendment included that other than distillation of fermented carbohydrates, you can also mix neutral spirits in suitable proportion with water to be able to make the potable spirit. What we have seen in that revision is that we may need to review as to whether, as a country, we can afford to delete that part, where you mix the neutral spirit with water. Economically, if you look at that proposal, it would mean the value addition of our carbohydrates, because you have to, first of all, have carbohydrates, ferment, and undertake distillation. That, in general, will promote or accelerate our manufacturing agenda at the moment. We've had discussions with stakeholders in that sector on that proposal, and we'll be waiting for further consultation to see whether we can be able to do away with that. However, I want to report that standard is an East African standard. When it comes to how we do our work, we have engaged our third-party partners, PFUC agents abroad, that give certificates of conformity for products coming into the country. And as they come into the country, we have another layer. We have people at the ports that also drew samples and subject them to test. And I can confirm here that, Your Excellency, out of our surveillance, largely, we have had no major issues in terms of contaminants of products that we receive. When we got out there to control the manufacturers, because before we even permit them, we have to ascertain that they have sufficient control measures on the raw materials, in process, and also production, at the end of the production. And again, out of our report, the official one is that most of the products are complying. The issue that we have in all this process is that subsequently, there are manufacturers who are also counterfeiting their own product. The recent survey that we did, and that is now market surveillance, where we pick products from the supermarkets, we have come to discover that largely people are not even putting enough alcohol. Alcohol is expensive. The failures that we get, the non-compliance that we get, is not contaminant, it is reduced amount of alcohol. This is quite shocking because we would expect that there will be much more alcohol than expected. The other contaminant that has been there for some time, but we have managed to control to some extent, is methanol. Methanol is what used to kill people, cause blindness, and poison people in general. Now, we came up with a standard that now requires any methanol that is imported into the country is denatured. And denaturing means that you add a certain chemical that makes this product quite bitter, that you cannot be able to consume. So these are some of the initiatives that we've been able to do. Now, when it comes to counterfeiting aspect, because most of the drinks, I would say, are also counterfeited. When you test, when you look around the counterfeited drinks, they obviously cannot meet the standards. And that is where we need to put much, much more effort in eradicating the counterfeited drinks where people are using other people's bottles. Before I conclude, Your Excellency, I would like to also say that we need, as a people, to be able to create an awareness, win the hearts and minds of our consumers to appreciate the quality. Most of the consumers are not aware the dangers and the cost associated with cheap product. And it is called the cost of poor quality. It comes with a very high cost. The other thing I would like to say, for us to win this war, I don't know whether this is appropriate to say here, but let me say, public officers indulging or participating or in active business of alcohol is also there. And I would request, because I'm a gatekeeper at the port, that the government generally make a policy that deters public officers in engaging in businesses of alcohol. Because we have challenges of consignment. When we are testing them, we also receive pressure. But we undertake inspection based on our mandates. With that, I would request and beg to take a seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the MD, KEBS, Your Excellency, the Deputy President. We are moving to the next session, and I would like to call my colleague Rose Gakuo to take us through a very brief session.
Your Excellency, sir, indeed, we continue to take delight in your presence here, and we appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, all the remarks and the input we have received from our stakeholders. At this juncture, Your Excellency, we are crossing over to the culmination of today's exercise, where we'll have the plenary to give room for questions, answers, and input from all members present here. Sir, at this juncture, I wish to acknowledge that we do have our secretariat who will be fast and keep it pacey, collecting all the feedback that we receive to ensure that we have a communique and a way forward that will also assist us in giving a report on this exercise. So before we proceed, seeing that we have all been seated for so long, with your kind permission, sir, if we may be all upstanding, just to have a moment to stretch, and then we can go right into the plenary session, as we also have an opportunity to allow our PS Interior, Raymond Omolo, to prepare to moderate over this session. Your Excellency, sir, with your kind permission, the plenary session, ladies and gentlemen, will give us an opportunity and a platform to air our views, seeing that we have been given very significant inputs from subject matter experts, right from the national government administration officers, as well as our elected leaders. Will have a platform for all members present here to air their views so that we're able to build on that. It's a plenary session that will be open. We'll also request studio, as well as our team from sound, to be ready to avail our public address systems so that we're able to hear from everyone who will be engaging during this plenary session. Interior PS, Raymond Mulder, sir, most welcome as we moderate this session.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, the governors present, led by the Chair, Governor Anne Waiguru, fellow PSS, colleagues, all protocol observed, good afternoon. Good afternoon once again. May I just request that we stand up and stretch a bit. Let's try and stretch. Thank you, thank you. Can we take our seats? Let's take back our seats. I'm sure we are all wondering when we are going for the lunch break. Majority Leader, Host Governor, can we take our seats? Thank you. Now, I would want us to go through this session in the fastest manner possible. If we can do under 1 hour, so that then as we break for lunch, then we are all able to disperse. Now, for the plenary session, and listening throughout the whole morning to all the speakers who've been here, at least I've picked 5 critical things that would be good to speak to as we go towards the closure of this session. One, Your Excellency, is the issue around security, particularly the criminal nature of what we get as an effect of alcohol and drug abuse. There is an element on trade, whether you're looking at it from a business point, also from a revenue perspective. There is an issue around health, and the Majority Leader aptly put it that alcoholism is a disease, but then there are also other health-related issues that are tied to it. Then there are issues around regulations, which are more legal, what needs to be looked at, both at the National Assembly, but at the county assemblies. And the last point from my end is on issues to do with education. How is this affecting education for our children? And is there a need to look at our curriculum just to deal with the issues around alcohol and drug abuse? Your Excellency, the Deputy President, allow me to invite the first speaker for this session, the Governor for Kiambu County, Kimani Wamatangi, just to respond, but more critical, to speak to some of the issues that we need to take away from this forum. Thank you. So, Governor, while at it, so that we save on time,
Thank you.
part of the guidance is that for the other speakers who will be coming,
Yes.
let's try and avoid being repetitive. So if an issue has been raised, we avoid it, and if you don't have to speak to it, then we allow the next speaker. And we try and be brief to the point. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, protocols observed. Your Excellency, I must first admit that if a book was ever to be written about this journey, I think the introduction, the preface, should be written by the County of Kiambu from the statistics that we saw here, Your Excellency. Number 2, Your Excellency, but at least the saving grace is that it also showed through the statistics that Kiambu County has taken the most robust steps. And I want to congratulate the team, the security team from Kiambu, Your Excellency, as I make my remarks, because it has shown that our people have been very, very robust and active in this fight. Your Excellency, when we were young men and when we were hunting, instead of waiting for the rabbit in the forest and chase it, mostly we would go to the den. Or if you want to trap a rodent, we would not wait for it and chase it through the woods. We would go to the nest or the hole and trap it from there. It makes work easy. Your Excellency, the first focus that I would want to say is a takeaway and a proposal from myself as the Governor of Kiambu, having been the most afflicted. Your Excellency, is that the primary focus should be entirely on the source, the manufacturers, those that go to distribute. And Your Excellency, we have very good comparison here. Number 1, the reason why the provincial administration and the police have, at least to a certain extent, succeeded is because when they got to target the illicit brews that are brewed within our areas, they go to the source. You see their photos at the rivers, spilling it. You see them in dens, spilling it. But when it comes to the bigger menace,
as shown by the statistics, which is now those bottled counterfeits and concoctions, those ones are done in factories and protected areas. And they are brought with protected means like trucks and lorries, Your Excellency. When they come here, we try to fight them from the shops, from the wines and spirits areas, and they are already widely distributed. If our focus, Your Excellency, would be entirely on the source where they're coming from, such that when they go and they're moving, we would have already ensured that we have taken a robust step in control, Your Excellency. Number two, Your Excellency, my last thought and proposal is that understandably, and as you have explained in other fora, the judiciary cannot be here for obvious reasons. But it's also acknowledged that indeed the missing critical pin or cog in this matrix is the judiciary. And Your Excellency, the frustration that the judiciary is or has been well spelled out. It is you arrest these people, once you arrest them, you take them there, they are charged peanuts or fined peanuts, and tomorrow they are back to their trade. So Your Excellency, I have a proposal, again arising from the many endeavors and engagements that we have had, and the majority leader of the National Assembly touched on it a little. Your Excellency, what we intend to see or would want to see is a punitive process or an expensive process, Your Excellency, that makes it deterrent. I'll give an example with your permission. The reason why, Your Excellency, in Dubai, there is almost zero enforcement of crime is because it is so expensive to commit even a traffic offense, such that it is in itself a deterrent. If you jump traffic lights in Dubai, your fine is 10,000 dirhams. So you say that 10,000 dirhams times 30 Kenya shillings, that's the fine for jumping traffic lights. And so you will find people obeying without even anyone watching, because when the camera clicks you, then you prepare 30,000 dirhams. Your Excellency, our proposal would be as such that because we are not able to go and enforce inside the judiciary, how do you find these people? With the proposal that the majority leader was making, that indeed, and that was also my thought, that we should have one national legislation that cuts across, and I think also my chair proposed the same, such that then we have those standards in that legislation, Your Excellency. We would be proposing that we make fines for offenses relating to this abuse of the ingrained law, Your Excellency, so expensive that an offender will find it easier to follow. And that way, Your Excellency, we would have some sense of compliance, at least from our end, initiated from our legislature, Your Excellency. And at least because the judiciary will follow the law that has been passed and proposed by the National Assembly, they may not have any other escape but to apply the law as it is. Your Excellency, my thoughts are that if we did that, then at least we would have made those two steps towards ensuring that this is curbed. I'm one of the big victims in this, Your Excellency. In almost 80% of the towns in Kiambu, if you stop there, and Your Excellency, I remember we were with you a few weeks ago, and you even expressed your dismay that even when you stopped briefly in traffic at Ruaka, you could see activities of vending when you're inside your car. Imagine how it is like for those that live there. And so, Your Excellency, I want to appreciate, as the Governor for Kiambu, and with my colleagues here, with the effort that you've taken, and I'm sure that with our team, we are going to do our best, put our best foot forward, and ensure that this fight is won. And as you've started it, Your Excellency, I want to say thank you for this opportunity, and I believe that we are going to work together and succeed together. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Governor. Our next speaker, and I would request you take to your feet and have the mic from where you are. That's the Honorable Betty Maina, the women rep for Murang'a County.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, we are so much pleased for you inviting us to this forum. I was not ready, but I can't lack a few things to say. One, we must request our governors that we have to regulate issues to do with licensing of the outlets. I wish the clergy give us the statistics of the number of churches we have in our counties so that we have a comparative advantage. We must say as a region, we are failing, and we are failing big time. So Your Excellency, the Deputy President, a part of having good intention for this meeting, let us have good action. Let our good intention be accompanied by credible action. Let our action be accompanied by results. We are appealing to you as leaders from this region. The biggest legacy you leave for us is fighting against illicit brews, fighting against drug abuse, fighting against second generation liquor. When you save the generation, you save the politician, because most of these problems we are dealing with, including fundraisers for the sick and for those people who are in hospitals. Even if you go to most of our orthopedic hospitals, most of the culprits who are there, most of them is a result of maybe motorcyclists who are drunk, or people who are drunk and they were hit and ran. So we are appealing to you with our CS for Interior, you give us support, we are going to give you support. Tutapiga nduru mahali unataka kina mama wapige nduru. Ukitaka tumwage, tutamwaga. Ukitaka tukusaidie kuingia mashinani, tutaingia. Ukitaka tuseme, tutawasema. Tutasema, tutawataja, na tutakushika mkono tukipigana na where we need legislation. As the members of parliament, we are going to offer support. Thank you so much. We don't take this forum for granted.
Thank you, Honorable Betty. Our next speaker is Honorable Kanini Kega. Is he there? Or he stepped out? So then next is Governor Badilisha.
Your Excellency, CS Interior, colleagues, governors, all leaders, I just want to join those who are saying this is a very important meeting. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come and listen and also to hear our views. Mine is only two things. Number one, the KEBS officer has told us they have licensed 49 manufacturers. I would propose that we have zoning of those manufacturers so that we are able to know that alcohol can only be manufactured at a certain zone. And anybody who wants to do the business of manufacturing can go to that zone, open a business of manufacturing there, so that the inspection can be easy. Otherwise, when we allow the manufacturing to be everywhere, along the rivers, on top of houses, wherever, we cannot succeed. So I'm suggesting that anybody who wants the business of manufacturing of alcohol, we must know where you are doing it from. That way is going to help us. And number two, for anybody to do the business of alcohol, you must have a building somewhere licensed so that we can come and inspect your building. Otherwise, the fellows who are peddling this business on products, on motorbikes, are the ones who are selling poison. So this must be capped so that if it is here in Nyeri, if you have to do business of alcohol, you must open a shop, you must pay license, you must be somewhere, but we don't want to find people moving all over with the knee. Inaitwa hii gari kidogo inaitwa nini? Probox. That is where the problem is coming, and also hawking. Hawking of alcohol should be stopped. You have heard that in Nyandarua, we don't manufacture. We import. These are the people we are talking about. They come in proboxes. They bring this thing from my friend across the Laikipia, Nyeri, and also Naivasha. But if we can say that no hawking of alcohol, this is going to help. And lastly, let us avoid this disjointed approach of fighting alcohol. As governors, nobody should say that we are happy with the licenses. In fact, this menace of alcoholism is always with us. You people are just talking. But for us, these drunkards are in our doors, are in our offices, are in our along our gates. Not that we are happy. And also, like in Nyandarua, for the last 3 years, they went to court. You were told not to correct any license. For 3 years, we have not paid. So they have not paid. So we are saying, let us have this jointed effort, the national government, the police, and ourselves, and I agree that we are not going to put money ahead of everything. This generation is so precious to lose it. And with those, Your Excellency, I say thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. Can we listen to the Senator for Kirinyaga? Senator for Kirinyaga. Thank you.
Mstahiki naibu wa rais, itifika zote zikizingatiwa. Mimi langu ni moja tu, kwa sababu unajua Waswahili wanasema pombe ikiingia bongo hutoweka. Nadhani hilo ndio linatufanyikia sasa katika mkoa wa Kati. Mimi ningesema wakati tunaangalia maneno ya pombe, tuangalie pia pombe ambazo zinauzwa katika social media. Ukiangalia kwa wale young people wenye tuko nao sasa kwa county, wakati wanapanga sherehe sio lazima waende kwa club ama katika yale maeneo ambayo pombe inanunuliwa. Social media inafaa pia iangaliwe, kwa sababu ni mojawapo ambapo ndawa za kulevya na pombe huwa inapatikananga. Jambo la pili, hii janga la pombe, tuseme ukweli, halifanywi na watu ambao wana pesa. Wengi ni sisi wanasiasa na watu wengine wakubwa katika serikalini. Tukitaka kuwapa wenye wanaangalia mambo ya pombe nguvu, hata mtu akiwa ni mkubwa kiasi gani na anashika katika ile biashara, anafaa ichukuliwe sheria, kwa sababu hata Mswahili inasemanga hata mtoto akikunja ngumi anafaa kuongwa kama mtu mzima. Asante sana.
Thank you, Senator. So next is the Senator for Kiambu, Karungo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. As I stand here today, I must say that I'm very, very happy. Sababu Kiambu kama vile imetajwa, tumetajwa sisi ndio tuko na shida mingi sana kutokana na hiyo pombe. And we have to do something. Your Excellency, we have to come up with legislation proposals that we need to pass both at the Senate and of course at the National Assembly. But good alcohol is good. We are here to talk about the illicit, the drugs, and that kind of alcohol that is maiming our young generation. Your Excellency, we need to ask ourselves a question. I have worked in China, allow me to give that example. They sell alcohol in their normal dukas, kiosk. Anywhere you go, you find they have alcohol in their shops. But you'll never find a drunkard on the road. The question we need to ask ourselves is, why is it happening here that everybody wants to drink? One, people are idle. Our young people have nothing to do. Two, we need to do a culture change. We were told here, everybody accepts drinking alcohol is okay. You even give stories on how you drank yesterday, and people find it funny. We need to do a culture change. And how are we going to do that, Your Excellency? It is through using our local radio stations to have campaigns, the campaigning against the use of alcohol, whether good or bad, so that people know that there are effects of extra usage of alcohol. Your Excellency, the radio stations, and I want to use this example because I've been a journalist and I know our local radio stations that speak the language that we speak within Mount Kenya are the greatest contributors of our people engaging in alcoholism. I will tell you why. Whatever they discuss on radio brings about engaging our people with stressful activities. Your Excellency, if you listen after every song on our radio station, they are telling our young people, tuma 50 utashinda shilingi 200. Every day our young people are going on with their duties, boda, anapata shilingi 50, anaweka kwa radio. Akiweka kwa radio akose kitu, huyo mtu ameenda kukunywa pombe. And they are conning our people, Your Excellency. So if we also crack on that, because our governors and the enforcement officers in the counties have really fought the betting dens. Now betting and gambling has only been left on radio stations, easily accessible. So I wanted to introduce that. As we fight alcoholism, we also have to fight factors that contribute towards alcoholism. As I wind up, Your Excellency, we also need to do research and find out those areas that do not sell alcohol, like Kijabe. I know there is a village there that does not sell alcohol. We need to do research and find out also how they ended up doing what they do, how are the people there, are very also, you know, can we learn from that area? And as I conclude, we need to introduce alcohol-free zones. Alcohol-free zones, either villages or some areas we say, here we cannot sell alcohol, so that people can choose where they want to live. Right now, we have smoking and non-smoking zones. You can go sit somewhere you don't want to see or to feel anybody smoking. Can we have also alcohol-free zones or alcohol-free villages, whereby if you want to bring up your family there, if you want to bring up your children there, you can have a choice of where you want to go. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and that is my contribution.
Thank you, Senator. Can we have Bishop Paul Wanjoy? I think we are moving towards the end. Bishop?
Thank you. On behalf of the clergy who are here, we want to appreciate that we have been involved in this meeting to deal with this dragon, this menace. And we have this to say, just the way the CS Interior said, that the way we have the challenge of cattle rustling and also the bandits, alcohol should be declared as an urgent problem, na tuwe tunaiombea vile tunaombea cattle rustlers. Number two, we feel as the clergy, this problem is more spiritual than it is in the physical. Because you see a man or a woman who is working very hard, kutafuta ujira wa watoto wake, saying that my children are my tomorrow. But you see, wanaenda kukunywa na yeye. So from today, we are in agreement. When you hear us pray against illicit brews, na hata ulimi ukiteleza tuobe pombe zote, we allow us to do that because we have felt it is a big problem. Then number three, and very important, we have this to request, Your Excellency, that the church to be involved in all stages of trying to deal with this menace, all the way from the first stage up to the last stage. What we mean is this, during the licensing, kuenda namna hiyo, all the way to dealing with the people who are operating this illicit brew illegally. Then almost close to the end, we are willing to have our churches as rehabilitation centers such that wale watu ambao tayari wameingia kwa mihadharati and they have gone to the local bottom, we are willing to partner with the government to do that. And we must appreciate the governor of Nyeri who has already allowed us to use the centers together with as a center to rehabilitate these people. Finally, we want to request that which is already in black and white, like no pub, no club should operate near a school, kindly let it be enforced, na hata tuongeze isikaribie kanisa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop. And next is Bishop Barnabas Kenya.
Your Excellency, first and foremost, I want to thank you for this wonderful initiative. The truth remains that we have been fighting this demon of drunkenness. Na tumeanza hiyo initiative kupitia our patron, na jambo ambalo tunafanya ni kwamba tunaita hawa watu, tunaongea na wao, tunawaambia washe hii pombe, na tunawauliza kwa nini wamekubali kutumia hii pombe, na wametuambia wengi sana ni kukosa ajira. It is as a result of frustration. I want to agree with a number of speakers, Your Excellency, who have said that we need to do a lot of research. We come with a lot of ways on how we can do away with this menace at hand. I agree, and I know, Your Excellency, you have come up with this initiative of this Ajira. We have computers in our technical and vocational colleges, whereby our youth, the young people, can go and get the skills, the knowledge, because it is not only arresting them, some of them when they go to these cells, they become more radical than before. So what we are requesting today is that we come up with, the government can partner with the church in this fight. We come up with different methods, we do a lot of research, and then we assist our people, and I know this menace will come to an end at a certain juncture. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear from our law enforcers, Chief Inspector Wainaina. Where is Chief Inspector? He's probably disappeared somewhere. Oh, there you are.
Your Excellency, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, our Deputy President, Minister for Interior, and all protocols observed. Good afternoon. Chief Inspector Wainaina, OCS Kiambu. And on behalf of my fellow OCSs, I want to affirm our commitment in fight against the menace within our region. But when we are dealing with this menace, we also want to give our challenges that we face when we are enforcing the same. First of all, is the issue of licensing, which is done entirely or largely by the county government. On a very serious note, when this law